The night lay waste to all we'd given, but honestly, you've gotta know that this ain't living, but we could run from Elysium and let it burn, let it burn. You've gotta know that nothing lasts forever.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the semi-final action and welcome to the second session of in between of Wilson and Zhao. It is now current Wilson against Zhao Xington. It is once again Team England against Team China, and one more time we're going to have a battle to see who is going to join Trump into the final stage. Is it going to be Zhao Xington? Is it going to be Karen Wilson? For now, you have to say the match is certainly delivered onto every single level that you could possibly imagine. Century breaks, an attempt for a maximum, plenty of high-scoring opportunities, and also some of the safety battles that we have seen as well. So now, it all comes down to who's going to be the winner and who's going to have to come out as a loser out there as well. So then, Karen Wilson against Zhao Xington, a quick overview of what happened in the previous 9 frames. You know, Zhao Xington was able to get a very comfortable lead in the first frame, whilst making 2 breaks of 50 plus, of 53 and 84, scored 137 points in 2 visits to the table. Karen looked a little bit toothless in the first frame and also the start of the second frame as well, making that mistake on the brown, but after Zhao Xington responded with his own mistake on the blue into the middle, Karen Wilson managed to get out there and perform a decent enough break there to get himself a frame on the board, and you felt like that was the starting point for him, which was very important. You know, he improved his game in the third frame, was able to take that one away a lot more comfortably from Zhao Xington, and then we go to the fourth frame, probably one of the only frames that has seen a little bit of drama until the end, and you know, Wilson arguably should have won that frame after a mistake of Zhao Xington's point of view. I think it was on the red into the left middle, you know, after he scored 43 points. Wilson had a chance to make a clearance, but couldn't quite make it stick. And yeah, of course, then Zhao Xington came back to the table, managed to end things out there and lead us to the intermission with a scoreline of 2 frames each. Then he came back pretty much, well, as if he was reborn out there, had 2 really good frames, including a 139 of a century, which remains to be the highest break of the match by a long distance, and, you know, took a 4-2 lead, guaranteed to be in a decent position ahead of the second session, but felt like, you know, he only needed to win 1 more frame, and then he's going to be the leading man before the evening session. But Wilson had other plans. He got on and made an attempt for a maximum, stopping only 7 shots away from making that perfect 147, getting that 15 red, but not quite being able to get the black into the right corner pocket whilst being a little bit too straight on it and just trying to find that angle for the yellow. But then still, it was a very important break for Karen Wilson because he's made a break of 85 and 75 after that as well, and finished off with 113, 85 and 75 to get himself right back in the action there and turn a 4-2 deficit into a 5-4 lead. And now he's going to be the man looking to try and challenge Zhao. Whether he's going to be able to do that or not, we're going to have to find out in a couple of moments' time. He's got the break off now ahead of him, and let's see if it will come down to him being the best player that he possibly can be of Karen Wilson, or is it going to be a time for Zhao to try and step up, be better than what he's sort of shown during parts of the first session. I think he had some really good moments, but as you can see, I think consistency of 56.4 on the average break, especially if you bring 139 in there, I mean, that's going to be pretty much double, well, more than double actually, than the 56.4, which is the average break there for Zhao, which does suggest there were a lot of those small breaks that he wasn't just able to utilize to the full extent. Karen sits there nicely on 72 points on the average break, which just shows you that, you know, when he's been getting those chances in, and once he get past that zone of putting 1 or 2 reds and colours, then he's going to be very dangerous to try and make that break to be the only one that he needs to make it very much his match or his frame and that particular effort to win and to lose at that stage. But I think ultimately, if you are to have a couple of takeaways, I think Karen has been more clinical. I think Zhao's had more chances. And I also think that when you take as a package, I think Wilson was able to get himself into just about taking the edge, basically. I think the scoreline represents fairly nicely with what's been happening, because after 6 frames, if you ask me who's the better player, you have to say comfortably Zhao. But, you know, in the latest 3 frames, he dropped down form, not massively, but significantly. And then, you know, Wilson was able to step up to the occasion very nicely indeed. And, you know, when you make breaks of 290 points across 3 frames, in 3 visits to the table, I think you have to say he played really well, and I think that he certainly helped him out when his match starting. It will be in 1 minute time, so we're just waiting. The arena set up, we're waiting for the introduction of the referee, and then we're going to get ourselves underway here as well. So, by the way, 50% of you think that it's going to be Karen Wilson to win, 50% think that it will be Zhao to progress to the next stage. It was interesting. Now we get the referee to be welcomed to the arena, and now it's all down to just the 2 players to be welcome to the main table, and then it will come down to a race to 10 frames, and we have got a very similar scoreline to what we had last year of Zhao being 5-all there with Karen Wilson before. Of course, Wilson was able to find incredible form, signs of which he has shown in the previous 3 frames, and able to get himself stormed off all the way to the final to play a guy from England, I should say, which is going to be waiting for him this season as well, if it is Wilson to make it once again all the way towards the final 2 stage. You know, last year it was Ali Carter after his win over Mark Selby. This year around it will be Judd Trump after his win over Wu Yize. Now then, Wilson, he's going to be the first man to get introduced, because of course he's going to be coming into this match as the world number 7. But look at that, I mean, what a turnaround. I'm pretty sure there was something like 200 points to 450 for Zhao point of view in his favour. But now, as he changed the shirt, he's now gone from white towards the black. And let's see if that's going to be very much, you know, the way that he's going to try and switch from the light to the dark side of his game and make sure he's going to be able to try and play as well as he can and as well as he's capable of, which is certainly shown on multiple occasions during the course of especially the end of the last season. Then everything is ready. The break-off shot will be done by Karen Wilson. So then we're ready to get us underway. The handshake is going to be coming in any second, and then it will be Karen Wilson to get us started for the 10th frame, and then it'll be all down to him to be the man that Zhao is going to be looking to catch. A very interesting first 9 frames, very few moments where we've seen, you know, a little bit of a boring time out there for ourselves, but now it's all back down to Karen to try and take charge and try and do exactly the same thing as Judd Trump did yesterday. Just try and take a couple of frames worth of a lead and make sure that, you know, Zhao is going to be the one playing catch up towards him. For now, it's a decent break-off shot. It depends, you know, how good it actually is based on, if Zhao Xingtong is able to get past the blue onto the red and try and take that one with a long shot. I think he is trying to go for that. He was. He's missed it though, and well, wobbled a little bit from the front jaw, and that way he has managed to get away with it. Nice little shot though, you have to say, because you know, he was getting that cue ball to be heading all the way towards the black after making contact with the main bunch of reds, but in the end he got the position on the black, couldn't quite get the actual red into the corner. Now then, a double. He's going to be on there for Wilson, and he's absolutely missed that one by a long, long way. I'll tell you what, I mean, he's going to be pretty fortunate if he hasn't left the chance away, because he missed the black by such a long margin. You know, it does seem like he managed to get away with that one, but he nearly just clattered the cue ball into the bunch of reds, you know, underneath the main pack of them, which had basically like 4 reds, and, you know, one of them could have easily been a chance for Xingtong to go for into the right corner, but in the end, it's not quite going to be the case. And back down to Wilson it goes. Interesting position here, though, because you've got a situation where, I mean, you could argue there is going to be a safe place at the beyond the bulk line, but there's not a lot of it. And certainly the centre point is now going to be very dangerous with the red being right next to the green there after that misshaped double. And Wilson, well, potentially thinking about a shot into the yellow pocket. This is going to get interesting. Oh, in the end, had a double kiss on one of the reds, and, well, he's not happy either with himself on the table, but whatever it is, there is going to be a chance here for Zhao Xingtong. It depends on the quality of that chance, of course, but I think he is going to be looking at the red towards the right corner. The slight disadvantage for him is that he's going to have to try and bridge over the green and red combination, but I still think he'll go for that red, although he clearly thinks against it, so he's going to be all about, you know, just making sure he puts himself into a comfortable position. Of course, a very smart shot there from Xingtong, because, you know, what he's done is remove that red away from the green and just place that cue ball to be perfectly on top of the green, or right underneath, I should say. So then it's going to be awkward to be playing this shot there for Wilson, although I think he's managed to recover quite well. And also, I think he's blocked any potential chance there for Xingtong to be going for the red into the left middle, which there were plenty of options, but I think he's on the red that Wilson was playing. After it bounced away from the black ball cushion, it's gone slightly in the way of those 3. Cannoned one of them away, and the other 2 is just going to be hampered by the same red, as I say, as Wilson has played. So then Zhao Xingtong continuing to trying to play the red at the top edge of the table, but I think this time he's going to put himself on the back foot slightly, because if last time around he was able to put the green in between the cue ball and that red, this time around Wilson is going to be the one to try and send that red down the table, and as long as he doesn't put any one of those reds over the pocket, he should get a little bit of momentum now to his name here. Alternatively, you know, there is going to be a point where Zhao Xingtong's going to be looking at the red combinations and just thinking about the way that there is a plant potentially looking to go into the left corner. Whether he's going to go for that one straight away or not remains to be seen, but you still feel like there will be a genuine attempt there. But also you have to be careful that you don't leave any one of those 2 reds to be too close to the pocket. He's went for it, and I tell you what, he clattered into one of the reds on the way in. I think the pace of the cue ball is going to be lacking, and I think it's a poor shot all round there for Xingtong. The only thing that might save him here a little bit and make the shot a bit more complicated for Wilson is that the black, I think, is covered up. I think Wilson can't get through to the red closest to the right cushion, side cushion, which is good news for him. But, you know, Wilson's thinking about it. And, of course, the red closest to the right side is going to be the best option for him to try and screw this one back from the blue there. But it's never nice when you're not sure whether you can get through to this. I think he can, but he needs to hit this one really well. And he has. Brilliant shot there from Karen Wilson. And now he's going to get himself into the position of trying to score some good points here. Wrong side of a blue. But ultimately, as you can see, the position ahead of himself, he's going to look very nice indeed. So then a chance here for Wilson to try and take the blue away, play that cue ball towards the top side of the table, and just make sure that he's going to have a nice line missing on the yellow. Doesn't want to be hampered by the blue when he gets respotted as well. And of course, with him being potentially with a chance there to be sending the cue ball to the left-hand side of the table, that's where the black is going to be very much available for him to try and take into the right corner. And a couple of shots later, he can always try and just remove the red on the left side of the black and make his life even easier than this. So then for now, backspin on the cue ball, just has to try and carefully drop the cue ball in behind the black, which is exactly what he's done. Nice power management, but also nice little shot on the red to be disappearing into the corner. Yeah, all Wilson has to do is to keep on doing what he has done in the last 3.5 frames here. Just make sure he's going to be the one getting the first chance, and when he does get it, he's been really, really clinical so far. And if he keeps up that momentum throughout the second session, then he's going to be certainly looking very nicely indeed to try and extend his lead for now to 6 frames to 4, and then, of course, extend his winning streak to 4 frames on the bounce. And at that stage, he's probably going to be the favourite at this stage. But what a shot that is. I mean, that's a horrible shot that he's played out of absolutely nowhere. Wow, he needs the ping now to be available. I'll tell you what, if the ping is not available and it doesn't seem to be basically just having to reach over reds, you know, getting the red in anyway, but just completely messed up the action on the cue ball. And instead of the cue ball moving towards the black, it got stuck in the exact position of where the red was. And of course, as I said, he still hasn't removed that red on the left-hand side of the black. So the cue ball couldn't see the black at all. And he had to just play a safety shot from the blue. Well, I said he was all about clinical, but this time around, I think he will be down to a bit of a mistake there and a misjudgment from Kyren Wilson. And yeah, I think you're going to have to go for a bit of a different, short selection here. Because if Zhao Xingtong right now, I mean, that was a little bit tight on his own safety, but I think he's going to get away with this one. It depends on the red passing past the pink there. If he goes past the pink, you know, the one on the top right of the pink, which I don't think that's what Kyren's going for. He's going for the one on the third closest to the side cushion on the right-hand side of the table. So just carefully trying to take that one away. He has. And let's see if he's going to be lined up on anything. Well, the cue ball's going to miss the green. I think he's going to miss the deadline for the brown to be available. Though he may just be in the window. He may just about be in the window. But I think Kyren is preparing to play a shot which will just put the cue ball in behind the green. So that has to take plenty of power away. Let's see if he's judged that one well. He has. Not perfect, but not bad at all. And now it's going to be just a single point that he scores. And back down to Xingtong now. And looking to try and, make contact from the reds on the right-hand side here potentially. But, of course, it depends on how much you can see on the left-hand side here. You know, never been too strong when it comes down to trying to escape from a snooker situation. But, you know, you have to say he doesn't really prefer to be heading for a hidden shot, a hidden hope shot, I should say. But, yeah, I think... Well, I mean, easier said than done, but I think the area that he has to target is going to be the red on the left of the black there. That very much same red which cost position there for Wilson. I think 2 or 3 cushions for it might have to be the target. If he feels like he can see enough on the left-hand side, then that makes it a little bit easier because you can just hit it. Well, I don't think you can see that far, to be fair, onto the left side cushion of the... Basically alongside the pink spot. Try and get it down to the black ball cushion on the second bounce and then just try and hit the red diagonally from bottom left corner. So, I mean, there's always going to be just one cushion escape into the bunch, but I feel like you're leaving it down to fate that way. And I think that's what he's going to go for. You know, one cushion. Let's see how much power he's going to go for it. I mean, he can't go full power, surely. Yeah, he's trying to take the pace away. Well, he's going for the same red that I suggested beforehand, but he needs to be careful that it doesn't go around it. Well, it's a decent effort by Zhao Xingtong, but it's not really going to get him anywhere here. Because, yeah, it was a good effort, but he caught it just about sideways, so that it's now going to be an easy red for Wilson to be taken. So, hi again. Zhao is very hard to beat in longer games. Kyren seems to have got cue problems sorted. Now, yes, Ian, absolutely, because now he certainly seems to be back to prime cue action. I mean, he was struggling a little bit with something because he had some really weird shots in the opening couple of frames. But yeah, then I would say 4th frame onwards, he's managed to sort them out and we haven't heard about it ever since. Now he gets the third chance in. You know, he's had a lonely red, a break of 15 points and now a break of 88 points and counting. Xingtong still hasn't scored a single point in his frame so far, but had his chances. You have to say, probably shut down for the majority of the frame there by Wilson, but at the same time, Wilson has managed to just take this one on a step-by-step basis. And, in the end, it does seem like the snooker that he's played in behind the green has worked out a treat there for him, but, it still remains to be seen if he's going to have to do anything else with the position here, because I think for now, it doesn't really have to be doing that. He just needs to try and keep the cue ball very much in prime control, and then he should be able to get himself lined up with all the easy shots out there. So 31 points is going to be the lead for Karen Wilson, that is looking right now at the red to be taken into the left middle. Of course, the fact that he's got the pink onto the blue spot now could be seen as the advantage, could also be seen as a bit of a problem, but I think Wilson will try and exploit that to his preference. Once again, got himself on the top side of a pink, which is now going to be very much the alternative for the blue, and I don't think he's going to be looking to try and separate the reds away from each other. Doesn't really have to do that, and that's exactly why he probably decided not to be doing this at this stage of the frame. Under on slightly for the red, but I don't think it's going to be anything too concerning for him. Wu potted up blue, think it was with the rest against Zhao. I've never seen a pot like that in my life. It looked impossible, such fine cut. You mean, I think there were a couple of shots like that. I think you're talking about when he had the cue ball on top of the pink, like pretty much around the pink spot, and he tried to cut that one into the right corner. That was very much impressive when he had the cue ball to be sent all around the table pretty much twice out there. He still ended up perfectly on the, on one of the reds. That was brilliant, but I also think he had the black that he potted from underneath into the left corner, which is absolutely incredible. That was, but it's easier for you. I mean, he's got all the shots in the world. It's just that at that particular occasion, where Trump was slightly better than him in the overall package. Let's see what's going to happen here then. As Wilson was struggling a little bit with that fade of the table. This time around, it's going to be absolutely fine with him. And he's just going to be carefully taking that red in towards the yellow pocket, which probably was slightly out of plan, but still managed to make that work for himself. Now 52 points of a lead, so looking strong for a 6-4 gap to become the reality here. And still get himself lined up for the pink here that he needs. Doesn't want the cue ball to go into the middle pocket. Well, it's not a nice shot that he's played on himself here, because the frame is not quite over. And I suppose he can just try and take the pace away from the white. Doesn't have to be going around the house. Just needs to try and make sure he actually pots the pink, and then the next red should be the frame ball actually for him, because he's now 59 points clear. The next red will put him 60 points clear with 59 on the table. So then, it's a frame ball for Wilson. And Zhao will be same as Wu. Yeah, cue ball went round the table. I think near the ball right pocket. It was in bottom right corner of the pot. Yes, yeah, the one. I think that was the pink. I'm pretty sure that wasn't. Because I was thinking, like, what a horrible shot that he's played. As Wilson there manages to get himself over the finish line. Yeah, I was like, what a horrible shot that he's played. Then he has to play a safety. And then I see him aiming for it with the rest. And I'm like, what can he do with that shot? And then I actually realised that he was actually trying to pot it, which was incredible. As Wilson there wobbles the black in, so still making another break of 50 plus. And now storming away in relation to the total points scored in the match. And still opening up the angle nicely for the pocket. So then, he's got enough points here potentially to try and, make the century break here. Which won't be his first one, it will be the third one of the match. Joining the breaks of 84, 85, 112, 139 as the highest breaks so far made in the encounter. Now then the referee sorting out the position of the pink very nicely. Maybe it was pink, but I can't mind, but it looked impossible cut. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And brilliant shot it was. I think it was quite early doors as well against Trump. And I think it might have actually been one of the opening two frames. Because these were probably the only ones where he looked quite nicely, in the opening part of that match. Because then, of course, he would have lost 4 frames on the bounce before eventually coming back and making a bit more of a game out of it in the first session before eventually fading out to Trump. And I tell you what, Trump had a gap of 6 frames to 4 to Weezer. He had a gap of 6 frames to 5, and he was just able to maintain that lead all the way until the end. Bookies decide who wins and see. Well, we'll see, but for now, I think he'll be down to, a decent opportunity here for Wilson to try and get away here from Zhao Xington. Just looking at the pink in towards the right middle. If it's going to be all down to a positional shot on the yellow, I still think he's got plenty of points here to try and make a century out of it. As he now makes it the break of 80 points. Gets himself lined up for the yellow, and you have to say it's been probably prime Wilson here in relation to the way that he's taken this frame apart there. He's had 3 chances, so you could argue that he needed 3 chances as he wobbles the yellow again. And it doesn't seem like it's going to be a century now. So it's a break of 82 points, but at the end stage you'll be the green that he tries to make contact with. He has. Is he going to fluke it to the middle? Oh, that was close, but not quite in the end. And he would have been snookered on the brown anyway. So it is going to be the break of 82 points there from Kyle Wilson that gets himself into a 2-frame lead there. 6 frames to 4. This has been best 4 player in the semis in this. Chang Min-Yu's grade 2. Didn't see who beat him. He didn't play Ian Williamson because even though he is on the rise, he's not in the top 16. And he didn't get a wild card as a player from China because I'm pretty sure there were a lot of players from China ranked higher than him. You know, we've had Zhao. Well, Zhao, he was, to be fair, part of the top 16. We had Zhang Anda, we had Pang Junsu, we had Watchalong, those 3, plus the wild cards, plus I might have missed someone. They all came as the additional players from China, but Chang Min-Yu is going to be way down the rankings for now. And he hasn't been playing so far in the Shanghai Masters, but, you know, he's certainly going to be back in the China Open. I'm pretty sure he got past the qualifying rounds. Okay, thanks. I wondered where he was. Yeah, I mean, same with Mark Cullen, didn't play. And Lisowski had to come in as a replacement for him. Allen withdrawing from the tournament for the 2nd consecutive season. If last year was down to the personal reasons, this year it may be down to some other reasons as well. WSD didn't specify that. And yeah, I mean, you could say Joey Long had a decent run, beating Mark Selby in the decider of the first round. It can never be called a bit of a bad performance, then lost a decider himself. And the interesting thing, actually, as soon as you win a decider in this tournament, then you seem to be losing the next one because you think about, and I would actually take that one away further because as soon as you win a decider, even if the next match for you is not going to be a decider, you seem to lose it because just think about it. Xiao Guodong won a decider against the wildcard, he then lost to Robertson in the next match. Joey Long won against Selby in a decider, then lost in a decider straight away to Murphy. Lisowski won, no, that wasn't a decider to be fair, but Higgins won a decider against Lisowski, then lost to Chomp the next match. Weiser won a decider against, well, who was it, Murphy, then he lost the next match to Chomp. Tell you what, if either one of those players does win a decider here, it could be a bit of a bad momentum to be heading into the final. Anyway, that's of course still going to be very much far away there, as we're guaranteed to witness 14 frames, but Zhao Xington is going to be looking to try and, increase that number of frames for now. He has been brutal in the qualifiers, blew away Joe O'Connor from 2-0 down. Joe was stunned, displaying well, but Chang was beat. Well, yeah, well, I think he had a couple of really good matches. I think he had a couple of bad ones too, but yeah, Chang Min-Yu certainly was on the rise. You know, he didn't play badly at all, and but listen, it's the qualifiers, you have to say. And, the top 16 didn't play any of the qualifiers, and I don't think he's had any of the big names that he's met in the Championship League. So, let's wait and see what happens in the China Open. If he's going to be able to get quite far, then, he should really be tested in the big matches of the opposition. But for now, Xington is going to have to be tested here, being 6-4 down. Next frame will be do or die for Zhao. Nah, I don't think so yet. But if he loses this one, the next one will certainly be, because 7-4 down you can recover from. I don't think you can recover from being 8-4 down, though, to someone like Wilson, and especially with how well he's played. Zhao is still going to be capable of coming back from 6-4 or 7-4, but he needs to try and discover his game. If he doesn't discover his game, he could have a 6-all win, 6-all draw, but he still could very much lose there. And for now, we just don't really see that. Being clinical, being brutal, being fantastic on the long range. It just doesn't seem like he fancies himself too much on those type of shots, as he now brushes one of those reds away. And once again, I don't think he played that shot well. He might have covered that red with the angle on the cue ball, but I still think Karen will go for it with having 2 frames of the advantage, and so far, these have been going in for him. So let's see. Watch out for the right middle, but to be fair, the way that he's digging down, I think it's unlikely that he'll go for the shot, although he has. Well, whether that was an attempt to be heading for the middle or not, but it was a long way off. But he had the line for that, so I would assume he was trying to play, that red with an element of safety. But if you're going to commit, you're going to have to commit, because you could have easily bounced away from the, the jaw of the pocket and been available for Zhao Xington now to take. And Zhao just needs to try and steady the ship in relation to the safety shots. These have probably been his weakest part of the game. Long shots haven't really been that, frequent here for him as well. Karen is top cookie to beat. If in form, beats Judd mostly too. Only Sean Murphy can beat him in good form, I'm seeing. I think, as Wilson there goes for a very aggressive long raid, but misses out very narrowly for it. I think it's an interesting one, because I think it's a triangle which doesn't really make sense. I think Trump destroys Murphy in head-to-head. I think Murphy beats Wilson comfortably in a head-to-head, and I think as now Xington goes for a really nice cut on the reds. Let's see how well is he going to be positioned for the cue ball. Well, not great, but not bad. Well, not great. That little bit of millimeter or a centimeter more, and just feel like that was a little bit too much there. Just don't know if the angle is going to be there, or is he going to have to try and take that cue ball on a journey. Look at how deep he got into the white. And somehow he nearly he has overplayed there. I'm pretty sure he was playing for another red. That was brilliant there from Xington. And yeah, just to finish on that, in the triangle, and Murphy's actually probably better than Wilson, and Wilson is probably better than Trump when it comes to head-to-head, which is mad. But that's the way snooker works sometimes. You've got your own players that are that you've got a little bit of a preference to play against, because you've got a positive head-to-head against them. Karen Wilson, what a shot on that green. Brilliant shot on the green. I mean, how well did he manage to control the cue ball? Didn't really control that one too well on the blue, though. Nearly got himself in behind the pink. Wilson has a very poor record head-to-head on Murphy. Checked it out a bit ago. Once again, I'm looking for the past couple of seasons. I think Murphy beat him in German Masters without him scoring a single point out there. Without the foul points. Brilliant shot there. Once again, Zhao Xington, I tell you what, somebody should tell him that he's lost 4 frames in a row. He's absolutely flying right now. And once again, he's played around 3 or 4 shots, and every single time there, he's taken the position from 1 to 3.5 to 6 to now pretty much 9.5 there. Well, probably exaggerating, but you can't really wish for anything else. The black is available. The blue is in there. Plenty of reds available. 19 points of a lead. And doesn't look too shabby for him. But I just don't think Wilson and Murphy have played that much recently. I think down to probably Wilson not playing too well in the ranking events, and also Murphy, having his spells, but I don't really think, they played each other apart from that German Masters, which I can remember. They would have played again, but I just don't really think it was in the semis or something, because if you think about the Triple Crowns, I think... I don't really think they met. Certainly didn't meet in the Worlds. They certainly didn't meet in the Masters. And I don't think they met in the UK either. So, doesn't really leave you with plenty of other options. Murphy lost out to Trump earlier doors in the last... No, that was Robertson that lost out to Trump in the Shanghai. But I don't think they played each other in Shanghai. So, just going to be down to, maybe plenty more battles later this season. Xington there gets himself out of shape a little bit. He should be able to try and have the full advantage of the reds that he's managed to position himself so nicely on. But still wrong side of a blue. So then, just carefully take that blue away, minimize the angle on the red and the cue ball. And I think he's done that pretty well, because I can see that he's quite close to him not seeing that red, which, usually I would say within margin. I think it's a good sign, but it has to be on the stretch here. It's not too high there, Zhao Xington, and he's gone for the extension. Ooh, he just about misses contact on the black, and it gets a little bit of a fortunate kiss of the red next to the black there. So, not perfect, but doesn't look too bad for him at all in relation to he's managed to recover and get it back to a very good position here, but just because it was a little bit unsteady on the previous couple of shots. And once again, played a brilliant shot there. Getting those two reds away from the black ball cushion and getting himself lined up on one of them. So then Wilson, he's still going to be very much aware of what this guy can do. And now, even though he's going to be on that formidable 5, which will bring memories of last year. Remember that semi-final finished with 10 frames to 5, and now it will be all down to Zhao and Karen Wilson to, well, hopefully for Zhao, have a different outcome. Hopefully for Wilson, it will be just about as comfortable as he was. It's 13-4. Murphy leads Wilson head-to-head. Just check the Q tracker. Well, that's horrible, that for Wilson. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit surprised that, because I don't really know where that came from, but okay. I mean, I'm not really that outrageously shocked that Murphy has got a better head-to-head, but that he's got it 3 times better than Wilson in relation to he's got, 13 wins, 2 kinds of just 4. I mean, that doesn't really feel right. But once again, you could just have one of those players that, you feel like sometimes they're harmless, but when they play against you, they just play their best snooker. And, I suppose that German Masters last season probably just confirms that. How many performances better than that has Murphy had in his life when he's had a 5-0 win over the world number 2 at that stage, where he didn't allow him to put a single red, to put a single colour. So, yeah, very impressive there, but not quite as impressive as Zhao break in this frame out there. Absolutely flawless, and as I said, there was a little bit of a wobble when he was on 27 points trying to go for the blue. Was wrong side of it, had to recover with the red shot, but he was able to do so. And now, 72 points later, thought he was on a maximum for a second, and I was like, well, I'm sure he's taking the blue. He's going for a potential repeat of a 139 there for a break, but ultimately, it's been a while since he's made a break of 50 plus, I should say. And I find that it's certainly been a while since he's been able to win a frame, having a 4-2 lead, and now being able to avoid a 7-4 handicap to himself. Oh, let's see if he's actually got any one of those reds to try and continue the break going, to see another century. Only 43 points down now on Wilson in relation to total scored for the match. And now having his 3 highest break pretty much matching there what Karen has achieved. And going for another raid brilliantly well. And once again wants to be the top side of blue, and he's not going to get it. So probably just trying to play through the shot and get himself lined up for the red to be taken along the side cushion. As he now makes it his third highest break I should say of the match. So then looking to get this red in. Of course, he's still going to have to try and play the cue ball into the pink and the reds, which he has done. Going to run himself out of position on the colour, but still got the black to try and go for right now, as he has managed to get those reds into a better condition here. So then not a lot of pressure, just having to try and get the black in, which he has done. Brilliant the action on the cue ball. And now it is going to be a century waiting to happen. And what a brilliant response it has been to going 6-4 down, finding himself in all sorts of trouble. And now clearly being the man looking to try and come back stronger here, as Zhao makes himself to go 95 points clear of Karen Wilson. And still, by the way, going for that 137. It's certainly going to be looking very nicely on his CV out there. And yet another century break, as you can see, number 2 for him. 3rd one in the match in the 11 frames, and could still be a very much a respectful one too. He's going to lose 2 points now going for the blue. But of course, if he makes a total clearance, he will find himself on 600 points, despite only having won 5 of those frames. But it was an if, and well, not sure if he's actually going to be able to make a total clearance now. Run himself out of position on the yellow. So then having a look if he goes into the green pocket. Having a trump shot now in the making. And it was a good effort. And he actually got the yellow in. I thought he was going to stay out of the pocket there. But he dropped in. And look at that. What a brilliant shot for the cue ball's positioning it was. Bringing the white around the table onto the green. And now carefully taking the white along the ball cushion. And then along the bulk line as well. Gets himself lined up for the brown. And a break of 113 points to be making this one in. I tell you what, I've just realised something, that before the tournament started, I did say I cannot see anyone else apart from Chomp and Xington winning here. So I'm going to be rubbing my hands if both of them make it to the final. For now, Xington is still going to be the underdog purely on the scoreline, but he's still probably going to be right there in there with the mix of Karen Wilson to try and make it all the way towards the final stage here and get that clash with Watchalong to be set up. Potential revenge for the Tour Championship or a potential repeat of what happened in Manchester as the cue ball nearly follows the black, but in the end it will be the formidable century break from Zhao, and it is another 130 plus points there for Xington. It's 135 to add to 139, and it is Zhao on top of the world in frame 11 only. Now he's going to have to wait and see on who's going to be dominating the frame in the 12th encounter. For now, it was a really good break there from Xington, but he needs to make sure he keeps on back to work to make sure that he wasn't all down to nothing. And, a brilliant frame for him. He can't say anything bad about him. Brilliant red, a really good couple of shots that he's played to get that break started, get that position to be in the condition where he was throughout the majority of the frame. And then, as I say, apart from that little wobble, being wrong side of a blue and having to play a mid-range shot, he was absolutely flawless. London. Wilson is going to beat Zhao again for short on 10-6 again. We'll see. Zhao is so smooth. Century break just flies by exactly. Yes, absolutely. So, if you talk about, once again, I'm pretty sure, well, I am sure, because I checked before the match, they only played 3 times. So, the 10-6 that you're talking about is actually 10-5. So Wilson, was able to defeat Zhao only once actually in his career. And that, of course, was 12 months ago in Shanghai. 10 frames to 5 it was. So, the scoreline was 6-5 at that stage. And we're going to have to find out if Wilson is going to be able to go on another brilliant run, win 4 frames from now, and make it very much his story to be written. For now, I think the odds are going to be very much even for who's going to be the winner. But I also think Wilson has got plenty of work ahead of himself, but so has Zhao. Seems relaxed, probably focused, but ultimately still can't afford to have any errors because he's still the man trying to play catch-up on the break-off shot by Karen Wilson that hopefully will get him quite close there, and certainly got him close in relation to the average break. As you can see, Karen's still sitting at a very nice of 74, and Zhao is going to be sat at 64.1, which is very nice for him as well. Now then, looking to try and get the reds away from each other here from Wilson. And probably just having to go for, one of those shots on the cue ball. So then let's see, what is it going to be for him? And if it's going to be just a shot on the cue ball to try and get it into those reds, then it's still going to be very much back down to looking to try and make sure he doesn't give anything away to Zhao, and it's not going to be an easy mission for him to try and achieve here. So we have seen 11 frames down, and this is going to be the last one before the intermission. So 7-5 or 6-all is going to be a massive game changer here because, it was very much down to 5-4 of the advantage from, that's not the last one. We've only had one frame from each of the players to be won. So this one and one more after this one. And then we are going to have the intermission break of 15 minutes. Because I was like, you have to have one of them to be in the lead there. You can't have the draw to be heading into the intermission. As Zhao there plays a very interesting type of a shot. Getting that cue ball to be now surrounded by reds. So ultimately, it's a touching ball here for Wilson. So we've seen that situation with Trump previously in his match against Weiser. And on that time occasion, Trump wasn't really able to get anywhere near putting the cue ball safe. Let's see what Wilson's going to be able to do now. And, he's played that shot away. Well, I'll tell you what, that's certainly one way of making it safe. What a shot that is from Karen Wilson. That is a brilliant pot into the middle. Have to say, I wasn't even looking at that. And I'm pretty sure the cameraman has to join on me on that one. Wilson had everyone fooled, but now, well, what can he try and make out of this position? Looking like it is going to be just all down to who's got the highest break opportunity ahead of himself. And after such a good dominant frame from Zhao, now it's down to Karen Wilson to be the man, looking to get all the action under his belt. Definitely now having to do all the work that Zhao done at the starting point of that frame, because he still has got 2 more reds, but then I think at that stage, he's going to have to try and find a couple of more reds at least to extend his advantage over points and also make sure that he's still going to be very much the man to try and win the frame with a single visit to the table. Now he's got 4 opportunities to try and do something here. Let's see if he's going to try and leave this one very much until the end, which probably is going to be the logical thing to do. because the 2 reds that he's got available can't really be used as any backup option that he can try and land that cue ball on for after trying to play that shot and spread the reds away from each other, which, is possible, but at the same time, I think it's going to involve a little bit of unnecessary risk for him not to be scoring those extra 8 points, and of course depriving his opponent from scoring those 8 points as well. For now, getting the ping to be disappearing nicely into the right middle. So now then, 23 points is the lead here for Wilson. And of course, I feel like if Kyren is going to be able to just maintain that 2-frame cushion, I think he's just going to have to force. I think Zhao Xingtong is just going to have to say to himself, well, I'm going to have to go for everything now. And that's the thing where Wilson is going to be the most dangerous man of the two. Because I think there's only one way that he'll work out for Zhao Xingtong, that he'll put everything. But if he misses something, and that something isn't going to be now available for Wilson, then all of a sudden you could say, with how clinical Wilson has been throughout the entire match, I think he's got a great opportunity to try and make it towards the finish line without experiencing too much of a trouble there. Still no sign of any pressure that he seems to be experiencing or not. Probably something that can be said about Zhao Xingtong. But now, this is where it will be coming down to this particular shot. The black into the corner and the cue ball into the pink. And trying to make a kaboom out of those reds. He's got plenty of those in the action. 11 to be precise. 31 points out of 32 to be scored. If the black does disappear and make it to the left corner. But, it's a different one to judge because I think only Kyren will know how far away the pink is from those 2 reds. But also how far away those 2 reds are from the main pack. So it's going to be interesting. He needs it to work though. And he has worked, I think. He put I think it's worked out pretty nicely for him actually. Put the pink onto the right side cushion. He didn't catch them really well, but I'm not sure if that was actually the intention. Trying to just lose that cue ball a little bit up the table. And, he certainly got the job done in relation to the reds to be available. Just a little bit of a mid-range shot now for him on the red. And then at that stage, he'll be all down to just hoping it's not going to be straight here, though. And it does seem like it's pretty straight on here. So then what can he make out of this situation? Doesn't really want to be screwing all the way onto the ping because he was just going to clatter into the ping there with no chance of making it further than that. Yeah, he's got at least 3 more reds there, which, he should have actually tried to make a little bit of more usage of. Well, he's going to have to. It does seem like he's going to have to just leave that cue ball where the black is and leave himself to be positioned for the reds into the left middle. Well, it's not a nice shot to be left with. And, I suppose he should have done a little bit better on the previous shot there, just having to make sure he didn't leave himself straight on the black, because if the pink is not there, you have half of the issue. But yeah, he's just going to have to try and go for that red into the middle. Whether he'll go for it or not is down to him. The position is not the best, but the position is not the worst. And the 6-5 of the gap is not quite as comfortable as he was at 6-4. Yes, he's got 39 points of elite. Yes, we haven't really seen any comebacks so far in the match, but don't really want to see one now. And go from 6-4 to 6-0, especially after having a 39 points lead. Well, I think it's going to have to be a lot simpler than that for Wilson. It's either you go for the red or you don't. And I think he's looking for it into the yellow pocket. The long-range missile is about to fly, and it's about to be missed there by Wilson. Well, let's see where the red is going to finish. And, he won't finish in a nice position here. Well, it depends what you classify by nice position. I think Wilson was a little bit over-ambitious with that red that he was playing, I have to say. But, you say it's brilliant if he makes it. And you have to say he's a little bit ambitious if he doesn't make it. But he's certainly no match for what Zhao Xingtong has got ahead of himself. With all the respect to Zhao, with all the respect to Kyren. But I think, his one was a lot more difficult. And, he should have known that. If he misses it, it's always going to be a chance for Zhao Xingtong. And even though it was a good shot that Zhao has played in relation to potting the red, I'm not sure if he's got enough angle to try and force that cue ball to be staying on the lower end of the table, because he needs to for that 6-all to become a little bit closer for him, because he's going to be very much the underdog for now. Even though he's at the table, and even though he's got 33 points only to make up, but still, he's got plenty of those reds to be in a bad position. And even though he's been playing quite well during, some of those occasions, he also had quite a few frames where he wasn't really playing outstanding, let's put it lightly. But I tell you what, he could really do with getting on 7 of those reds. He's got one of them to be available into the corner, so let's see if he's going to try and play for that one. And he is. So just trying to be patient right now. He needs every single point that he can score here, Zhao Xington. And Zhao will win this game. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. For now, finds himself 25 points down in frame number 12. And does need this frame for me. He can't really do the exact same thing as Weezer was doing, because he had a 6-5 of a deficit to Chomp, and I think that was the last time where he was 1 frame away from Chomp. Now then, Zhao thinks there is going to be another red that he can go for, that I didn't see, that I didn't think was possible for him to be playing, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't seem like he's as confident as he was when he was playing for this red. Ooh, I had to force that one. Never a nice feeling when you have to just force a red like that, and I don't think... Well, he's played this shot in a very similar fashion to what Karen had before going for that red. I mean, he's got a little bit of the angle, a little bit too close to the side cushion too from the cue ball. So then he does have the angle to try and open up the queuing, and he's played that shot well again. Well, I'll tell you what, he hasn't really got into the pack yet, but he's just trying to nurse his way through those reds one by one, and now, all of a sudden, you know, he's got one more easy red available to him now. He's only down to 4 of the main pack, and all of a sudden he's only going to find himself sort of, 1 point behind here if he takes the black away, and he's got the perfect angle to try and get himself past another red, which is going to be potable. So I'll tell you what, that's going to be probably one of the most fascinating packs there, of 7 reds that he didn't really go into once, but he's managed to just genuinely just take them out one by one. Although I'll tell you what, I mean, he's genuinely testing the fate a little bit. I mean, the last time he had to force the red, which I said wasn't a nice feeling for him. I mean, I think he's going to have to try and do it again. And he can't really force this one. Because, he doesn't really have the black to play. Because the cue ball is going to get stuck into those reds. So I'll tell you what, I don't know what he's going to be doing here. He's trying to just play that one full throttle. And once again, didn't work out badly at all. 39 points each. And now, having 3 of those reds ahead of him, a very interesting position now, because that's not going to be enough for him to get more than, 5 points clear. But it's certainly going to be enough there to try and put some real pressure on Kyron to basically need a total clearance at this stage. 6 all, well, it's not quite there yet, because even if he takes those 3 reds with 3 blacks, which he should, but there's still going to be 1 more red on the right side cushion, which he will need to try and put a frame on the board here. And leave, it down to 6 frames each. Yeah, I don't think he's played particularly well for that red on the left-hand side there. He may still go for it, but I think he's going to be making a lot more sense for him to try and go for the one close to the left corner, just so that you have to take the easy red away first, so that in case you make a mistake, your opponent is not going to be able to take the easy red first. Now then, 16 points clear. He's trying to use topspin, which is a little bit surprising. So let's see the way. Ooh, he's trying to go for a red into the left corner. So he needed to play a good positional shot, which he has. I think he can count that as a good positional shot for him. So then 23 points clear. It doesn't really mean anything, I have to say, because you won't really force Wilson. If he gets another red and black combination, which he should now, after he pots the red nicely into the corner without even the sign of jaws, but he won't really give any pressure on Karen in relation to he can pretty much play whatever colour he wants with that red if he does get his chance. And with how straight Zhao seems to be on the black, he probably is very much going to be one of those situations where he's just going to have to try and make it a red ball battle. I mean, he can always just try and put the black safe, which I'm not really going to criticise him for, but it's not really his style of play. But I'm just thinking, what is he going to gain here? Like, if he's going to be 31 points clear, okay, Wilson needs to score 32, but that still leaves him with a chance of, going for the red and the brown. So that's not really worth it. I mean, he's got 4 out of 6 colours then, all suitable for him to try and win the frame. Well, and that's not even considering the respot, which he's going to get on the green. So, let's see. He's going to try and, well, put the blue safe, which he hasn't really done. I felt like he was trying to take 2 bites of the cherry there, Xington. And I think he just forgot to Forgot to buy them first, I would say, because now he's going to leave that red over the, not quite over the yellow pocket, but certainly available here for Wilson. He hasn't put anything safe. The pink is out of position, the blue is out of position, but both of them are playable. And as I say, all Wilson needs is anything but the yellow, and he's guaranteed a respot if he makes a clearance. So then let's see, he needs to make the red in first, and he hasn't. Well, did expect him to miss, to pop that one. He doesn't want the contact on the yellow. Ooh, that was close. He nearly fluked that one on the yellow. I said he doesn't really want a contact on the yellow, but yeah, he nearly fluked that red in, which would have still left him on the brown, which would have done the job for him. Yellow slightly out of position now, but it all seems like, you know, it was a little bit of a bait at the end from Zhao. I still think it was reckless, and I still think he should have done better, but at the end stage, you know, he had to swerve around the brown, so it wasn't quite as easy as I thought. I thought you could see it directly, but it doesn't matter how you get there. It's all about the result. And now the result is going to be 6 frames each. As soon as the yellow disappears, there's not going to be any chance for snookers to be involved, and there won't be. So then Zhao with a nice little opportunity to try and make it down to 6 frames each here, after being 6-4 down, after I've said he can't really afford to, well, he could afford to be 7-4 down, but not 7-5, which doesn't really make sense. But I think if he was 7-5 down, I just feel like he might enter that rhythm of, I'm just going to go for everything, which I feel like it doesn't really suit him winning the game. He could still win a couple of frames, but I don't think he's going to be able to outplay Wilson and outscore him by 2 frames. I just don't really think that's the way the snooker works, especially when you're going to be up against Wilson that has played pretty well today. But whether he played well or not, it's not going to be enough there for now to be ahead of Zhao. And after 4-2 of the advantage for Zhao, it was a 6-4 advantage for Karen Wilson. It's now going to be back down to a decent opportunity here for Zhao to be right back in the action there. And Zhao will win. Well, I'll tell you what, he could still do that. But I still think there is going to be plenty more opportunities for us to see some action, as we're now down to the 4th frame of the mini session, and it was going to be a very interesting one to find out on who is going to be the winner, whether Karen Wilson has got what he takes in the tank to try and get himself over the finish line or not. We're going to find out very soon. By the way, thank you for everyone tuning in. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have the final tomorrow. Trump is sat there waiting, and I don't even know if he knows who he wants to have against him. Does he want that dangerous form of Zhao to be all up against the reigning world number 1? Where to watch? You can watch it, well, it depends on the region, but you can watch it on WSD Play if you're not going to be watching that one in Europe or in China. And if you are in Europe, Eurosport should be there for you, as I don't think there's going to be too many of the action right now, as plenty of other sports are going to be during their breaks. But yeah, back to the snooker here. You've got Zhao against Wilson, and what do we actually know about the deciding points of those matches? Well, what we do know is that it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But on a serious point, I think it will come down to Xington getting his nose ahead. I think if he gets himself ahead, I don't think he's going to do a Mark Williams or a Ronnie O'Sullivan, because if you remember, you know, Wilson was trailing against O'Sullivan somehow, despite him dominating, you know, pretty much all the frames that Ronnie wasn't involved at, you know, but after Ronnie made those 3 century breaks, he was 3-4 down. He's then managed to win 3 frames on the bounce. Then Zhao now favourite on live odds, or I think he should be, just about. I don't think he's going to be by much, but I think he's still going to be a minor favourite because he was before the start of the match. And that's the way that he works, because you come at the start of the match with the same scoreline as is right now, technically. So I think, same with Williams. You know, Williams was 5 frames to 3 clear of Wilson, and he wasn't able to win that match. So Wilson has got that ability to win 3 frames on the bounce at the end of the match. But the question is, has he used that little bit of mana? And when he won those 4 frames and turned a 4-2 disadvantage into a 4-2 gap for himself, we're going to have to find out soon. But I still think that, you know, the previous frame would have hurt Wilson massively, because, as I said, I think at 39 points, he realised that he had to do something with that black. And, you know, he clearly didn't fancy to go around the pink, so he had to just, you know, send the cue ball to be positioned for a long shot. It didn't work out, and that was, basically the only chance that he had before, of course, that red misjudgment from Zhao Xington, which was left quite close to the yellow pocket. It wasn't over the pocket. I never said it was, but I never said it was easy. But life is not always about easy. And he had his chance twice. He wasn't able to take any one of those long shots. And now it's over to you, Xington. Can you try and be the man, actually, finally to find yourself in the lead for the first time since ages, actually. For the first time, I think, since 4-3 that he had of a lead. Because ever since that point, it was all down to Wilson to be taking charge of the match. And, well, we're going to have to find out if Wilson's going to have to go for something different, or is it all going to be just down to, back to what he was and back to how I got here at this stage of the match. But, I'll tell you what, he's been making those shots during the majority of the match, into the left corner. Once again, after that break-off shot, not being perfect there from Zhao, but at the same time, allowing Wilson to go for it this time around. Doesn't seem to have cost him dearly, but interestingly enough there, Xington doesn't seem like he's really interested in those long shots himself, and he just seems like he's a lot more invested into taking a safety route for his own, which I have to say is very much a mature approach. It's not really something that you see very often, but I think it's also down to him now having a 6-all draw. I think if he was 6-3 down, I think he'd be going for those type of shots because he'd be entering that do or die moment, but now he's back in the mix and certainly looking to try and put some real pressure on Wilson. I'm going to tell you what, this is going to be very interesting to see where the cue ball's going to finish, but he will finish just about clear of any danger there for Kyron. He felt like a little bit more of movement from the white and he would have been right in the mix of the reds available into the right corner. For now, it's interesting to see what Zhao is going to be looking at in relation to the safety shot. And he's gone for that same red. He's missed it. Now he needs the jaws to hold the cue ball, and they have. So that was a little bit fortunate there from Xington. And I think Wilson probably is going to ask Xington to play his shot from here. And yeah, there you go. That's exactly what he's done. So then Kyron Wilson gets 4 points of the foul. And always was interested if it actually counts towards him missing 3 shots on the bounce. I don't think it does, but I don't actually think I ever checked it out. And this time around, we're not going to find out here. The referee is not going to give him a warning because he's managed to hit the red very nicely. And also, he's limited the availability for Wilson himself in relation to what he's got ahead of him now. So then the red can be taken into the corner. It's going to have to be very wide in relation to the cue ball. But I think he's going to take it even wider there and just try and play a safety shot out of it. Just about far enough from the jaws to make it a comfortable shot there for himself. And very uncomfortable, it would seem, for Zhao Xington too. A great shot there from Wilson. Not going for the temptation. I think he was down to not really having a colour available to him, but also still just having that cold head, making sure, he realises what's going to be happening around him. But I tell you what, I nearly said it, that I thought Zhao Xington might have to go through a gap there, but I was like, well, it's so tight. And the tight gap on safety always means that when you have a tight gap, you need to see the red that you're aiming for. You need to have that specific part of the red to be available. And somehow, that's exactly what he's done, which is incredible, actually. And now, once again, it's a very interesting safety battle, this one, because I think with the breaks coming in so quickly and consistently, you just feel like you will be all down to the first chance. Still going to be massive there for the players. I'll tell you what, Wilson is there a little bit on the edge in relation to giving a chance away into the corner, but I think the edge now is going to favour towards him. And the blue is going to be the colour in between the cue ball and the red, as he's now looking to try and, probably consider a safety shot now, but it's not like it's going to be an easy thing for him to do. Because if he can't see that red beyond the blue, there's not really a lot more that he can actually do here, it would seem. So maybe he's just going to have to try and use that same red, but, basically just play a safety out of it. Or unless he wants to try and just use those reds on the right-hand side, but it's going to be such a tight line for him to be taking on, which he has managed to find, which is a great shot already. Let's see if he's going to be able to find the angle to get the cue ball back exactly where it was, and he does seem to have done that. So very nice indeed there from Zhao Xington. Now then positioning for Karen Wilson. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a huge issue with the previous couple of shots, but, you know, every single shot that you have to come back to the table and play a safety just puts a little bit of extra pressure on you, because it's now you having to play that extra shot there. So, oh, he's missed it. He's done the shouting ton. So I feel like we have not really seen Karen smiling and being in a nice little mood there recently. I think he knows it's all about business now. And I tell you what, the business is getting a little bit tight there for him. It's 4 points that he's going to be awarded back to Zhao Ton there. So both of the players giving 4 points away to each other. But ultimately now, this is going to be a long-range shot for Zhao Ton. I said he needs to make those in to try and get himself into the lead here. He's to see if he's going to be able to do that. And what a brilliant graphic it was, showing the line he had to take on that red to disappear into the corner. And that's exactly what he's done. Zhao Ton now into the lead of the frame, in with the first chance. And Wilson is going to be kicking himself there, because he seemed like, well, I'm not going to say kicking himself, but it was a really good safety battle. But this time around, Zhao Ton, not really for most of the times. He's been doing that throughout the entire match, and it's been quite a rare occasion where he's managed to get himself to being the man, winning the safety battle, and now being lined up for the blue to be taken into the right middle. So then just carefully take this one away into the right middle, then give the cube a huge bounce, and of course he needs to try and make sure he makes, you know, as much progress here as possible for him. And in relation to those colours, of course he only has the blue available, but the further he gets in the position, the more reds that he pots, the easier he'll get for him as well. And he just needs to try and make sure he's going to be doing everything that he can to put himself in the best possible condition for winning this frame. When whether it's going to be a chance for Wilson, or whether it's going to be him just trying to make this break to last until very much the end of the encounter. For now, plenty of backspin here. Very important, as I say, to specify, he needs an angle on pretty much every single one of those reds, and he needs it to be the right one too. So just looking to try and carefully play the shot into the red, off into the right corner of the table. So play that one with plenty of power on the cue ball, give it a huge bounce of 2 cushions, but even that huge bounce doesn't seem like it was enough there for him. So I'll tell you what, 17 points in these circumstances is not going to be the worst thing. 18, I should say, to have the advantage of. So then still needs to pot the blue, but hopefully, of course, himself, he's going to be able to get that cue ball into the mix of the reds. And he's able to do that to an extent, but once again, this is where he doesn't really have the angle now to get that cue ball across on towards the blue, and he knows that. So he's going to have a look at the pink, which I don't really think is going to bring him any good news. And alternatively, he's going to be looking at the red. Well, I mean, if he's got the red below the pink, that changed the dynamic a little bit, because he might still be able to eke out a gap. Well, he's going for the black there. Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting indeed, because I don't think he's got far enough for the black, but I'll tell you one thing, he needs to judge the pace absolutely perfectly well. This is tight. I think he's going to have to focus on missing. Yeah, I think he's played that with too much pace. And that was a little bit ambition out of adhesion there. And in the end, it will be down to Zhao Ton to make a mistake here, and a very costly mistake indeed, it would seem. Because just when he... I mean, the biggest problem that he's made now is that he put the black over the pocket, and now the black is going to come into play, which brings everything completely down to the change here for Wilson. Because all he has to worry about is the reds. The black is going to be sorted out. The blue doesn't go anywhere. Yes, he doesn't have the pink, but I think he can live with that fact. So, well, that was very much ambitious from Zhao, but it was one shot too many for me. And, yeah, just looking at the red to be taken. So 11 points now is the gap, which is not going to be enough there for Zhao Ton. As soon as Karen gets himself through a reasonable number of those reds, he's got 107 points ahead of him. So all he has to do is to make a good work of those reds available to him. But, I mean, you can say he basically turned into a one-shot shootout. If he makes that black in, he probably is very likely to win the frame there, Zhao, but he didn't. And now all of a sudden, he's left a very good position over to his opponent. And once again, as I said, ever since that 7th frame, and it's been 6 frames ever since that point, we haven't seen Zhao Ton to be in the lead here. And even though we have seen 4-all, we've seen 6-all now. You know, one of the players will have to take a lead into the intermission. And it doesn't seem like he will be shouting on now. Although, of course, Wilson still, for now, is making the work of the easy reds. But I feel like, you know, because of how... Ooh, that's not really the way for you to do. And just as I was saying, he's got such a great line to try and disturb the reds. Why did he decide to take the power away from the cube? And that is shocking, that from Wilson. But that's going to be a relief for Zhao Xington. Because all of a sudden now, 5 points behind it. It does seem like, not confirmed yet, but I think it is going to be breakover. I mean, there is a red which is available, I think, into the corner, but even for Xington, I think that's going to be taking over the edge. And Wilson, in frustration, I don't think he's played that shot well. And now he needs the blue to come to his rescue. It's all happening there. But if Zhao Xington's mistake was down to a very difficult shot that he was trying to play, then Wilson's mistake was all down to his own fault there. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. I genuinely don't know what he was doing, whether he was trying to use the bunch as the extension. But now, Zhao Xington is not going to need a second invitation here. He needs a good contact on the blue, which he didn't really get though. But he gets a red. Messed it up there. Well, he has, but I mean, I don't know who you're talking about, by the way, because both of them have. And now Xington is in with a chance, but well, this is going to be one of those frames there. You can just feel it. The tension is going to be through the roof. And with a scoreline of 24 plays 28, of 6 frames each as well, before the intermission, it's such a massive frame mentally. And that's why you can't call this one. Way too many variables into play. And yeah, I mean, it just has got all the tools to try and be one of the longest frames there. Even though you've got one of the best players to try and develop the reds there. But, I mean, let's see what his decision's going to be here. Because I think it's down to whether he thinks he can get this green on and he can take it on, and he's missed it. Well, let's see where the cue ball's now going to finish. And he's separated the reds away, and that's going to be very much a gift there once again over to Wilson. Well, it's a mistake after mistake for a moment, but ultimately it's still going to be very much down to Wilson to have the minor advantage here in terms of points. But I think it does change the fact that Xington was able to pot that red. Of course, does also make a correction here in relation to the points available. And I think it could actually come down to, you know, Wilson certainly will need all the reds apart from one, I think, because he's not going to be able to make a 43 points of a gap of the 4 reds plus the one that he just spotted. Zhao will win. We'll have to wait and see. For now, Wilson is lining himself up to be with a very fine margin of a gap there on the pink. So then he's got the pink available. And, well, I mean, if he can play in behind of the red onto the left middle, all of a sudden he could try and turn this difficult position around into something a lot more manageable for him. Just needs to make sure he's played a good shot on the pink, which I'm not sure he has. But it doesn't seem like he's too animated out there, which probably suggests that he can just about force that cue ball to be heading towards the right side cushion, play that red into the middle, be on the pink, and then he's just going to be down to, has he played this shot well enough? I think he has. I think he's played it about as perfect as he could have. So then 12 points, 18 points I should say clear. Let's do a little bit of maths. 12 points clear, so whatever he does, he will need 1 more red. So he needs 4 reds out of the remaining 5. And that's going to be the main problem for him here. So just try and... Oh, that's a little bit close to the front jaw, but in the end just hugs it, and with the lack of pace, drops that one into the pocket. And, well, once again, he needs a good shot on the pink here. I'm not sure if he's got the angle on it, but the body language suggests that he has. He's going to be quite tight in relation to the remaining 2 reds. Let's see how well he's played the previous shot. And once again, the body language doesn't really give a lot away. So he seems like he's within margin of the error. Come on, Kyron. Now then, this is the time for you to perform. This is time to go big or go home. Now the red into the left corner. Had the feeling that he'll miss it, but he's made that one really well. And how's the position going to be looking on the colour? Not great, but the other red that he's clattered into has now gone over the pocket. So that's going to be making his life a lot easier. Still needs one of the cushion reds. He does. And we know which one he was going to go for. Obviously the one onto the left side, but yeah, it's going to be quite interesting 4 shots there that he has to play. And he made the first one in. The blue disappears into the corner. So then, 31 points is the lead. And what can he try and get off this red? And I have to say, it's a little bit soon to be saying that, but I don't think he's played this shot too well. I think, and I don't think he's played this one well either. So he's going to have to go for the ping there for me. Well, can he do this from the blue? Or is he just going to be committed to, you know, having to find one more red? I mean, it doesn't really seem like his type of a shot to play. That's a weird shot for me. I think he had to take the pink away. 37 points of a lead. Well, that's gone away from him. And I did say I didn't like his positioning on the red. I think he's taken the blue well, but at the same time, I think he should have done a little bit more as he had the red over the corner pocket, over the middle pocket, I should say. So then, 37 points of a lead, 43 at the table. He's going to have to be a safety. Still, Wilson is a massive favourite to win the frame because of the red that he won't need being in a bad position, of the black that he won't need being in a bad position, and you know, anything else that he can make to be in a bad position before now, and you know, either one of the players potting the red, which of course he doesn't really need to worry about that too much if he's the one potting the red, but for now, he's made a good break of 33 points, and now he'll be back down to Zhao to be the man. Well, probably not really focused on making advantage of that position so far. He just needs to try and take this frame in sections. And whether he's going to agree with that or not, or he's going to pot a red, is that going to be the advantage? I still think he will be at this stage, although he might not be. That's quite interesting, you know. What does he do now? 36 points behind, and he doesn't have a clear colour ahead of him. Well, he's got to roll this one behind the yellow. Or is he going to go for the green? Well, I mean, I suppose as a professional, you have to go for the green, but I just think this is the one that could cost him, but he's made the green in. Okay, so that changes the format slightly because that leaves him with still having the chance to go for the red and the pink, which is very important because of the black being out of position. But ultimately, now the battle goes on to the next red, and he's made the black to go into the open play. Just has he managed to get the good positioning on the red? I don't think he has. I think he's left that one away to Wilson, but same pocket as he was in the previous frame. Now the black is over the pocket. It all comes down to the battle on the red. And of course, Zhao having to make a 34 points of a clearance. But more importantly, this is now the shot for Wilson to take it into 7-6 of a gap. It's probably more difficult than the previous frame, but he's been playing better. Oh, he's refused it. He's refused it. And how good is the safety going to be? It was good, but he wasn't quite getting the tools that he had to make it a real problem there for Zhao. So then, it is a 50-50 battle. The Chinese have some pressure to win, but let's watch on. It'll be utterly disappointing if Zhao was to lose, but well, the ball is round. Philosophic comment, but you can't disagree with it. He didn't take the red. Yeah, he didn't, which is surprising, but now it will be all down to a good safety here, and well, is it a good safety from Zhao? I'll tell you what, it's not a bad one from the cue ball's point of view, and I think despite him leaving the red pretty much over the corner pocket, with the black to be right next to it, has he got cover on the brown? He has. Well, this is going to put the cat amongst the pigeons. He's trying to serve around this one, Wilson. This is going to sting so badly if he misses out on the frame. He's got the red. Is he going to have the cover? He's not going to have the cover. Zhao Xington has got the chance to try. I'm saying this if it was a decider. Honestly, so excited about it. But, well, Zhao Xington now got a chance to try and make all of his things that have gone horribly wrong in this frame, all of them to be made right. The yellow is going to be the only colour out of position. The red is in. Now, that black being over the pocket, he's going to be very much joining the count of 5 colours all to be on their spots. The only colour that isn't is the yellow, and it's above the D line of the top side of the, at the top point of the D line there. The line is very good on the yellow, just doesn't want to be straight, and he's not going to be. It's a perfect shot there from Xington. It's about as much as he could have done. Why, Kyron? Yeah, listen, but it was a brilliant shot from Xington. I think you have to give him credit for that. Now then, plenty of power on the cue ball, and look at that. Well, this has been that frame He did have that feeling about it at the early stage of it, and now it's only 5 shots there for Xington to find himself ahead for the first time since being 4-3 up there in the first session. It's been a while. It's certainly been a while in terms of time. I think that was probably down to something like 5 hours ago. Now he's about to be only 3 shots away from making that, only by 2 points if he makes those 3 colours in. And, well, this is going to be the TV that you would want to see in sport, and you certainly want to see in snooker if you are a fan of Zhao Xington. If you're a fan of Karen Wilson, you want to switch the TV off and just knock it out of the window. I would say hold on to that for now, because he's still going to have plenty of opportunities to try and come back later, but it won't be the repeat of what happened a year ago, because Zhao Xington is going to find himself leading by 7 frames to 6. He has done it right at the death, and Wilson is going to be absolutely gutted with how that frame slipped away with him. I mean, that raid was frame ball. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that was certainly the way that he's gone wrong for him. But the break of 35 points is going to be the end of Zhao Xington at this stage. And what a frame it was. What a brilliant performance. And what an encounter we have got on our hands now. 13 frames down, 3 more to go at least. And of course, if it is only to be 3 more, then as you can see right now, 6-4 was the scoreline in favour of Karen Wilson. 3 frames later, it is Zhao Xington being back at the lead. And this is the time now for Wilson to try and step it up there, because for now, it does seem like this is going to be an absolute cracker. And could it be yet another decider in the Shanghai Masters? We've seen plenty of those, but we never get tired of seeing more and more of them. For now, it'll be very interesting to see what Karen Wilson and Zhao Xington can do. And for now, it is the most deserved break for the both of them. It is the intermission of 15 minutes time. Stationed in though, you don't want to miss this. We have got no idea on who's going to be in the final chomp, who's going to be absolutely running out of popcorn as he's watching on to battle to see on who's going to be very much the player up against him. For now, it is Wilson that has got 6 frames. It is Zhao Xington has got 7 frames. He's jumping the audience. He may as well be, because he's certainly getting himself, you know, a lot of very interesting battle for pretty much for free out there. But anyways, as I say, 15 minutes for a break, and then we'll be back for more action to see who's going to join him in the final of the Shanghai Masters in 2026.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for
Right then everybody, let's get back into the action. The intermission is now almost over and we're ready to go off into and towards the finish line to see on which one of the players will get themselves to a clash with Zhao Trump. Is he going to be the man from China, Zhao Xington, that is going to be able to replicate that Tour Championship run and once again meet Zhao Trump in the final? Remember, his brilliant win streak of winning every single ranking final is not going to be relevant in this one because, of course, Shanghai Masters being an invitational tournament, as now we get the players to be back to the table. This is now going to be all down to Zhao Xington or, of course, Karen Wilson. Zhao has been on a really good run recently and now has managed to win 3 out of the last 3 frames now. So he was still very much down to him leading 4 frames to 2. Then he lost 4 frames on the bounce, and then he's managed to come back himself and win 3 frames in a row. Wilson is ready to break off, but is he ready to try and stay in this match for a little bit longer, or is he going to be that streak of Xington that continues to go until the very end? We're going to have to wait and see, but as we have witnessed beforehand, it will be all down to Wilson. You know, trying to make something that has happened with him beforehand with Williams and O'Sullivan, and those 2 matches that he was able to, you know, despite being sort of behind quite late into the match, still come back and win that particular encounter. And Xington is not quite going to be happy with well, maybe he can get through to this red, but I still don't think he's going to be playing it with attacking approach if he's going to be trying to swerve that cue ball around, and he wasn't, just trying to make sure that if he can't get through to it, then Wilson won't be able to do that either. Zhao 10-7. I said Zhao, well, probably before the start of the match, I think 10-6 would have been my shout for Zhao, but I think when the 5-4 scoreline was there, I did say that I think it will be 10-8, but I still think Zhao will be able to win this one away. And at the end, it doesn't really matter whether you win by 1 frame or 9. Winning is winning. And now it's all going to be down to Xington here to try and recover from a decent break-off shot that Wilson has laid on him. So then still looking to try and play the cue ball towards those reds from the right-hand side of the table. Has to be careful and cautious here so that he doesn't get too many of those into the open play. So he wasn't really, you know, playing that shot perfectly well. Caught the green straight into the face there with the cue ball. But I don't think he's left too many options there for Wilson, although he's left the black available, which means that if Wilson does decide to go for the red into the left corner, the one right above the pink, I think there's going to be some value in that, you know, because if he can just take the cue ball across towards the right side, the black is going to be there waiting for him, and I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's played that one really well. Now let's see where the cue ball's going to finish. And he will be tight, but he is going to be on the black there. Brilliant shot there from Karen Wilson. Karen will take Zhao by 10-9. You will do if you play a shot like that a lot more often. Brilliant there for him now. Needs to try and get the black into the corner pocket as well, which he has done, but well, I mean, he's still got the shot into the middle, just as I and he were about to complain that he wasn't lucky there. But of course, no, not that I'm complaining, I don't really care, but still thinking that that was a little bit unfortunate. He's still got a red into the middle, but he doesn't seem to be happy about it, which is a little bit weird because it certainly goes past the pink. So whether he can't just see that red or what, but let's have a look with the angle from the ref cam. And that's very, very informative there. He's just showing you completely wrong reds there. Brilliant. Brilliant broadcasting. Now then, yeah, the red was certainly able to go into the corner pocket, but he feels like he's going to underrun massively for the green. I'll tell you what, I think the green is going to be more problematic than the previous red that he's played, although it doesn't seem like he's going to take too much time here, preparing for a shot on the green. Well, he's going to have to just go for it now, Wilson. He can't really take a step back now, but he still needs to make those shots in. Let's see. Well, the green is going to be in, and the cue ball is going to have a red. I thought he was actually going to run himself out of position there, but still in with a shout. 12 points of a lead here. And a decent opportunity to go for the red into the left corner now. The pink is going to be waiting for him. And all of a sudden, you know, it seemed like he was surviving there for a couple of shots. But now, all of a sudden, Wilson is going to find himself in a position where not only is he not surviving, but he's also trying to dominate the frame here. The position is still horrible at times, but brilliant at some of the moments as well. And now he's got a great opportunity to try, make that pink into the right middle, play that cue ball through the shot and still get himself lined up with a couple of those reds to be taken. Once again, just about hugs the inside line of the front jaw there, but it's not going to impact the pink too much. He will impact the cue ball's visibility on the red into the left corner. And I think Wilson is going to have to go for the one into the right corner instead. Yeah, not sure if he's going to be looking for that one to transition the cue ball back for the pink, or is he indeed going to try and go for the black now? And yeah, all of a sudden, I mean, it's a very interesting and a very tight position there in relation to the reds, occupying probably something like 10% of the table there altogether. But at the same time, you know, if you just get the packs and the little sequences of them just away from each other and reduce them from 3 to 2 and stuff, you know, just keep those loose reds where they are for now, unless, of course, you feel like, you know, you've got the perfect position to try and take them away. And that would also make your life better, on top of you scoring a couple more points and making sure the table is going to be having fewer and fewer of those reds. But Wilson, I feel like he doesn't have to take that one too deep, as it's, once again, as I say, he's had a pack of 3 reds there. Now he's not going to have a pack of any reds at all, because he's managed to pot one of the 3, and then the other 2 now are going to be well away from each other. So in a perfect condition as well. Oh, look at that, what a miss. What a miss from Kyron, and what on earth was that? I mean, that just has the reminder of Zhao Xington missing that sitter of a red in the 4th frame in that exact pocket. But of course, if it was Zhao Xington missing it into the front jaw of the red, that is a sitter, and that is now a golden chance for Xington. And could this be the end of Wilson? And could this be, well, the start of the end for Zhao Xington as well? But of course, from a very positive effect. Well, just when it looked like Wilson has done it all right, and now it's Zhao Xington that has got a chance, although it doesn't seem like he's happy with what he's got at the moment, after potting the first red and black combination in no time. Well, what can you say? I mean, I don't really understand what is he unhappy about here, because is it just all down to not being able to get through to the red? Well, I mean, I don't really know what he's doing here. I mean, why is he going for the red into the left middle? I mean, wow, that's a brilliant shot there, but I still have to ask the question of why does he have to go for that one? It's a brilliant shot there, and that's going to be a confidence booster and a half, and also, that was the red right in between them all, which makes it even better for him. But yeah, I mean, that was very, very tight. If he played that perfectly well, and he has played that perfectly well, so fair play to him. But, I mean, surely the red on the left corner wasn't that difficult. Straight pink, yeah, I mean, that's just out of nowhere for Wilson. But that's the price sometimes. Well, we'll see. We don't know the price yet. You know, the guy has just gone outside the shop to tell us the price. But for now, I think he is walking back, and the price is going to be pretty big there. Just as Zhao Xington, he's now got 15 points between himself and his opponent. And he's now looking at the black to be taken. Once again, just... he's brilliant at this thing, positioning thing, isn't he? Now, just trying to get those reds further and further away from each other, whilst not compromising himself on the positioning at all. So then, Zhao Xington with a very good opportunity to take the red away into the left middle. And now put it all down to 28 points to be the potential advantage here. 28 points to have for both of the players, as he carefully brushes the black into the left corner. Yeah, you'll have to probably go for every single one of those reds for him to get the frame ball in. But what's your highest break? 44 that I've made twice. So not really going to be competing with those 2 guys, but still could be worse. Although I have messed up on the colour twice. One was on the blue, one was on the pink. So could have easily been a break of 50 on one of those occasions. And yeah, so not a lot to be proud of. But Zhao Xington is going to have a lot to be proud of if he's able to execute this frame away, put himself into 8-6 of the advantage, and, you know, all of a sudden, after being 6-4 down, he could, saying only could, find himself in a position where he is going to find himself only 2 frames away from meeting Chuck Trump for the second time in around 4.5 months' time. So then 8 points is the gap in between himself and Wilson. All the easiest reds now are going to be there for the taking. He's taken all the difficult ones, if there's been any. I think the one on the black ball cushion was classified as quite difficult. The one they had to, for whatever reason, he felt like he had to take into the left middle was a really difficult shot in that particular position, but played that one absolutely superbly well. And yeah, I mean, it feels like it was a dangerous shot even thinking about it. You know, I can only imagine what it felt like playing it at 7-6 in a very important frame. And once again, a little bit too tight there with the pink, but I say tight, just close to the front jaw, but missing out on it. And of course, if you wobble, the pink into the middle, then it's not really going to drop there if you play that with so much power. Now, once again, bridging over the red, which hasn't really been his best friend so far. But I'll tell you who's going to be his best friend so far today. The black hasn't really let him down so far here. As he's well, I mean, he has in the previous frame, to be fair, when he was going for it with such a difficult shot with the cut, where he overcut it. But Wilson still, even on that occasion, he wasn't able to do anything with it. And now 58 points later, in the next frame, it is a frame ball for Zhao that he's about to take either pink or blue. Will get him into 8-6 of a gap, barring snookers, and that is going to be a turnaround and a half. And well, as said, Wilson has been known for pulling out those comebacks against Williams and against O'Sullivan. Well, that's going to be a little bit more of a difficulty level for him. And if it was 3 stars against Ronnie, 4 stars against Williams, it is going to be 5 stars now to try and turn this winning machine of China around and make it very much so that Wilson wins 4 out of the remaining 5 frames, which is now going to have to be the target for him. And yeah, still looking at the potential opportunity for Chinese Dragon. Well, listen, if it's going to be Zhao Xington to win it or not, we don't really know, but you have to give him massive credit for his comeback in this frame. Yes, he could say at times the position was easy, but I think if you're saying that, just we're going to have to show you that red that he was playing into the left middle. The score is almost insurmountable. Well, he's still going to be very much down to a frame-by-frame basis that you have to take those frame-ins in, but still. By the way, Zhao Xington is looking for a potential century break here, incredibly. I mean, if you told me when Wilson was stuck on that 28 points on that ping that Zhao Xington was going to be making a century break, I would absolutely have not believed you. And now he finds himself only 2 shots away from doing that, and ultimately 2 frames away from making it all the way towards the final and being the first Chinese player to do that in Shanghai ever since Ding Zhuhui in 2017. And now it is the perfect sweep there for Zhao Xington, and it is a break of 100 points exactly there for the player from China. The Cyclone has taken over the arena in Shanghai, and his name is Zhao Xington. Wilson has got it all to do now after he just hasn't been able to take those chances away, and yet another one. He's going to get away from him here. And he'll find him in a position of, well, very much a lot of trouble in relation to where Wilson finds himself at. But in relation to Zhao Xington, it worked out really nicely for him. But look at that pink. I mean, that is unacceptable. And Wilson would have had to know that. Well, listen, it's one mistake. It's one split second. It's one decision. And it's one swing of the cue. And then it all can go wrong. Very wrong for you, as we've seen. And the response of Zhao Xington was difficult at times. But a break of 100 points was brilliant for him as well. That pink will hold Karen. He looks so pissed. Well, they're now leading by a wide margin by 8 to 6 frames. Yes, I think that pink will hold Karen for a little bit. I don't think he can afford to be sort of thinking about that one too much. And we've got a problem with the left middle pocket. Or apparently so, because the referee was having a very good old look at it. So yeah, we're going to have to find out if that's going to be the case. But yeah, I mean, just thinking about what happened there, I still think that was, and it could be just me talking nonsense here, but I would say, from my point of view, that ping miss doesn't happen in any circumstances in that particular ping into the middle doesn't happen if Wilson wins that 13th frame. I think he has had a little bit of pressure on himself. He knew he had to win that frame. He knew he couldn't make a mistake. And that's different to what he would have been if he was able to have a 7-6 lead. Because 7-6 lead, like, you know, Zhao Xington levels the score up. Well, so what? He's done that on how many occasions? 2-all, 4-all, 6-all. And yet Wilson has been in the lead for pretty much a lot of the time there. And, of course, unlike now, where he's lost 4 frames on the bounce here, the second player, of course, in this match to do that after Zhao Xington was leading by. So basically, the last 8 frames, we've seen Wilson win 4 in a row, and then we've seen Xington win 4. What's going to happen next? You know, is it going to be 5 for Xington, or is he going to be back to 4 frames of the bounce for Wilson here once again? We've seen it before with Chip Chai and Ronnie in Yushan at the World Open final, but now he will be all down to Zhao Xington. He's got all the pressure on himself. He's got all the pressure now on Karen Wilson, and what he needs to do is just exactly what he has been doing for the last 4 frames. Get himself in that clear mindset. He's been playing some brilliant safeties. His long shots have not been bad at all when he's been taking them on, which wasn't really that frequently. And when it comes down to utilising those chances, I don't think there has been a match with Wilson. Well, there has been, to be fair. I'm not going to come back on myself that one, because I said Wilson was more clinical than Zhao in the first session. I think that has changed in the second session, because out of the 5 frames that we played, Zhao was able to win 4 of them, and Wilson has only been able to win the first one of them all. So then, back to you, Zhao, and what can you show us here then? What he certainly can show is a nice little technique on the long red to be taken into the corner. Oh, that is unlucky. That is very, very unlucky. He potted the red. He got the cue ball to be heading into the black, and he potted the cue ball as well. So then, it is going to be 4 points to be given away, but I think it mustn't really affect your confidence at all. I think he hasn't given anything away to Wilson, because the only dangerous red that he had was potted, but the problem is the cue ball was spotted as well. Yeah, just unlucky to catch that thin contact of the black exactly into the pocket there. So for now, there's going to be a 4 points advantage for Wilson. He's got a shot in hand as well. But of course, he's going to be the one that has to try and make something with the position. And I tell you what, it's going to be the exact same thing there, I would say, to what it was the shot beforehand. Zhao is going to go for this red to me. Let's see if he's going to make this one too, because, let's see if it's going to affect him at all. I mean, not at all. Now, is he going to get a little bit of luck this time around? He will, and he does apologise, but I think he deserves all the luck in the world after that brilliance of a long raid that he managed to knock into the left corner, but exactly the same style as he was into the right corner. But this time around, there wasn't a black to get in the way, and Zhao Xington take a bow for the time being. He's got himself in the position, and he's got a great chance of trying to get himself a couple of points clear of Wilson, although you could see that coming a mile away. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, how badly has he played that previous shot off the green, or how good has he played that previous shot off the green? Completely misjudged the bounce of the cue ball on the side cushion, but I thought he may be able to squeeze through to a red into the right middle. The answer is no, so it's going to be all down to just 4 points on the break, 4 points from fouls for Karen Wilson, and it's back to Karen there with 139 points still at the table. 4 frames kill. It's Typhoon season in China. It is. One error will be fatal, especially mid-game. It was, and well, it feels like, I mean, it could be just a stupid comment and a boring comment to make, but I feel like Karen is really struggling. I think his safety has gone out of the window, because he's now played another shot, which is not really a great one. I mean, the only reason why Zhao Xington is probably unlikely to go for this red is that because he's got the green in the way. But he can see that dangerous red into the corner. Which you have to say from Wilson's perspective should not really have been the case. So then, what is he going to be here? Because he's only got 2 or 3 reds to try and make his way through, whether it's going to be a safety shot or what. So he does seem like he's just going to try and send the cue ball carefully into the right-hand side of the bunch there. Just one of those awkward positions there where you feel like you've got the chance to go for a long red, but in fact, you don't really have an easy chance to go for a safety either. Zhao, fearless game is insane. He's unbeatable. I wouldn't say he's unbeatable. He's lost plenty of matches last season to Bingham, to Higgins, to Ali Carter, to Tom Ford, to Karen Wilson. He's had plenty of weird matches as well, like Jordan Brown, Joe O'Connor, where you would not have expected him to lose. And, he's certainly been beaten before. It's just the question is if he's going to be beaten today. And for now, the live answer is no, but the official answer is still possible. As we have seen in the last couple of frames, having all the drama in the world. Chicken's not hashed yet, don't count yet. Yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing that it's never going to be for certain. I think you should have learned the lesson there with this match. It looked like Wilson was absolutely destined to win that 13th frame, and yet, Zhao was absolutely staying in there with just about a fingernail, but then all of a sudden it got expanded to a thumb, then it got extended to a hand, then it got extended to an arm, and then all of a sudden he was holding Wilson by his neck in that particular frame, and didn't leave him a chance at the end. with that brilliant 35 points of a clearance. But it does seem like he's the one that hasn't gotten plenty of opportunities here. He can't really go for that previous shot that got him out of jail onto the right side cushion, because now he's got the he's got the brown and green to be in the way of that, but he's still thinking about it. But I mean, I'll tell you what, the whole problem is that the black is now in a very awkward position, which makes it impossible for you to play snookers on the right-hand side of the pack. The left-hand side is covered up by the yellow, so these options are limited, let's put it kindly. The king is about to ascend to the throne first. Well, once again, I would just warn you, never celebrate before the checkered flag. You don't answer your favourites for the Triple Crown. I don't really have a favourite for the Triple Crown, and if I had the favourite, then it probably would be Zhao. Then, you know, we'll see. But as I said, I would absolutely take Wilson against Trump in the final. Well, I said it's impossible for you to play the cue ball off into the right side. Well, he thinks it is possible, and look at that for an effort. It's a good one, but has he left the red slightly too close to the pocket? He has left it pretty straight though for Wilson, so that's going to be an interesting one. And of course, if that was the case in the previous frame, I think it's needless for me to say, any mistake for Wilson is going to kill him at this stage, but any potential brilliance could also try and give him that cushion and the bounce that he needs, although this time I don't think he's going to get the bounce. Is he going to be on the black? He's looking, and well, I'll tell you what, it's a little bit closer than I thought at first. Can't really tell, but I don't know. Genuinely don't know. No, the answer is no, as they were showing the replay of that pot. Doesn't seem like it's going to get him anywhere. He's just going to be a single point, which was a good shot, but once again, it doesn't really matter if it was a brilliant shot, if it only gets you a point. Now, how much of a safety he was at, how much of a good safety he was able to play out there? And the answer is the unknown, because we can't really see there, but still, ball spotted incredibly. You know, Wilson is not too far away from Zhao, which just tells you that, you know, those close frames, so far, they've all been won by Zhao Xington there, and very few of them have been won by Karen Wilson. And I also think that he's got a potential chance of, you know, just trying to play the shot carefully onto the left side of that red. So basically bound towards the zone of the left middle. And then just get that cue ball towards the left side cushion here if he wants to. But at the same time, I also think that he can use the red right next to the black there, but I just feel like it's going to be way too tight of a gap. I mean, they say that he can actually get through to the passing angle of the red, and that's what he's gone for, and incredibly, he's overcut that one. So, yeah, so he could see actually too much of it, which is bizarre and incredible, but at the end stage, Wilson is going to be storming back towards the table, and that would have been a little bit too far there, even for Zhao Xington. Now then, Wilson gets another opportunity, but he's going to have to try and steady his game. Has any Chinese player won Shanghai before? It's a good question. It's a good question, and I can't really remember the answer. I don't think so. I don't think Ding managed to. Well, maybe. I'm going to have a look in the break of the frame. I know that the only two players that were in the final of Shanghai is Zhao Godon, which surprised me, and Ding Zhuyi. No surprise there. But I don't think I remember anyone winning from Ding, because Zhao definitely didn't win it. And I think Ding was in there twice, and I think he lost on both occasions. One of them was to Ronnie, and I can't remember what the other was. But I may be wrong. I'm going to have a look in the break. For now, Karen is now leading by a single point. He's now leading by 10 points as well. And he's now looking to try and take the black away into the right corner. If he's going to be playing the cue ball into the bunch of reds, he needs to make sure he keeps that cue ball pointing very much in the right direction. But also, he's going to have to try and keep himself at the position where he stays in full control and he doesn't make any more silly mistakes, which we've seen plenty of in the last couple of frames. But he's still going to leave himself with a chance here if he just going to try and become clinical there, because even though it could have been a very different story, you have to live in the now, and it's still going to be a lot more chances for him to win this match if he gets it down to just 1 point of a difference, and all he has to do, well, once again, not that it sounds very easy to do, but to win 3 out of the remaining 4 frames, but it sounds a lot easier to accomplish than winning 4 out of the last 5, which is his current mission right now. But he's got 29 points less to try and score here. Although he's got an interesting shot here to try and play. And he got that one pretty well. Not perfect on the black, probably even less so on the pink. I feel like he's going to try and avoid the pink for now, whether it's going to be down to a mental block or, you know, for what happened in the previous frame, or just for, you know, what's going to be around him right now in relation to the reds. But he's played that black so well in relation to, it wasn't an easy position, but he recovered really, really well. And now he's got a chance of, you know, choosing a couple of reds that he wants to play. Either the one into the left middle or the one into the left corner will actually do him nicely as well. And he's now looking to try and see what's happening with those reds. For now, it does seem like the positional shot on the pink into the right corner is going to be the most logical thing for him to do. And then he's going to be heading back into the reds once again. But I think plenty of backspin, and he should just bounce those reds away from each other and clear the path for another red to be taken into the right corner. Or alternatively, of course, either one of those two reds that he'll push towards the left part of the table, as he now gets himself through to 38 points. And yeah, still looking at the chance here for the pink to be taken into the corner. As I say, just clears the path for himself to be taking that red away for the right corner here. But ultimately has left himself with a couple of chances. As it's now going to be very much a scoreline of 4 against 44. So Lando against Lewis. So then looking at the red to be taken into the corner here. If he's got plenty of backspin here to try and get that cue ball up the table, he can always try and go for the pink, which is taking the spot off. Or he can just try and play this one across for the black. He's gone for the second option. And it seemed like it's worked out perfectly well for him, because now he's got 4 more easy reds. He's not going to have the pink in between them, which is going to make it even easier for him. And of course then he's got a break of 40 points to try and take this one away, as he now pots the black carefully into the right corner. So now 48 points is going to be the gap between Wilson and Zhao Xington here. So if he's looking for the backspin shot on the cue ball, once again his attempt is going to be surely to try and play for the black into the right corner. Plenty of angle to try and get around those reds once again to get himself through to basically a frame ball out there, because the next time he takes a colour away, I think he's going to be more than 67 points clear, although that's not really, no, he still needs 3 more shots there. So a red, a colour, and then another red, and then he'll be comfortably clear of any danger from, you know, Zhao Xington. And then he'll have to be down to Zhao to try and make it all the way to the end in relation to this battle. And we're going to see 17 out of the potential 19 frames here. So still, there is going to be all to play for, as Zhao Xington now knows. He will be down to 64 points of a lead for his opponent, and 69 to be available here. So then it all comes down to a decent opportunity to be taking that black away, as he now makes it all the way here towards the right corner. He's down a break of 71 points, which is not really going to be a bad thing for him to have. And then potentially if he makes another century, I mean, remember, when he was playing against Williams and Ronnie, especially against Ronnie there, he was really playing very, very well at the end stage of the match. And, you know, he just left his opponents with pretty much no chances lately. So let's see if that's going to be the same here. Because for now, you can't really say that Zhao Xington wasted 1 or 2 opportunities there. He had a difficult snooker escape. Wilson managed to and had to play that aggressive long raid into the corner. Missed out on it by a slim margin. Wilson managed to recover from that point, and now he's going to be looking to try and make a century break. Although it does seem like something that's not really going to happen here, unless he can cut this red into the middle, which, you know, basically going to have to take this one from the left middle all the way towards the right middle. But he's done that incredibly. It still doesn't seem like he's going to be on the collar. He's looking for the help from the yellow. He's not going to get it. So then it will be 88 points of a break. So probably taking the brown here, trying to, doesn't really need to get in behind the yellow, just try and get around it and bring that cue ball to the top edge of the table. And carefully cut in towards the green pocket. And now, not quite positioned perfectly for the yellow, but still in there with a chance. As he's now on the break of 92 points, so looking to try and make it the 5th century of the match in the 15 frames to be played. And look at that brilliant exhibition shot there from Wilson. 1, 2, 3 cushions for him, and perfect positioning with the green to go as a bonus as well. as he's now taking the green nicely into its own pocket, positioning still nicely lined up for the brown. And now lines up for the backspin shot on the cue ball to get him lined up for the blue. Now to be taken, as it is another break of a century there. And incredibly, he's got more breaks of 50 plus than Zhao Xington. He's got 7 of those, whereas Zhao only has 6 of those, despite making 2 in the opening frame there. But ultimately, for Kyren Wilson, he has managed to achieve a very important milestone for himself. And now it will be Kyren Wilson to get a century on the board, but more importantly for him, get the number 7 on the board. So for the first time in 4 frames, it won't be Zhao Xington that has won the frame. But remember about that sequence that I told you. It was all down to Zhao Xington to, be the man winning 4 frames after Kyren Wilson was the man to win 4 frames in the bounce. So now, could it be that last race towards the finish line where all Wilson needs was to win 4 frames? Now he only needs 3 of them. But the problem is he can't really afford to be losing only even 2 of those frames away to Zhao Xington. He seemingly tried to get his serious face on. And now it's all down to the shootout of the, at least 2 more frames, but it could also be 4 more frames for us to see. As we now past 15 frames, 4 more potentially could be there to be played in between Zhao Xington and Kyren Wilson for a place in the final and a chance to play Trump for the Shanghai Masters crown. Whether that's going to happen for Zhao Xington or whether that's going to happen for Kyren Wilson, can't really tell right now. But I think both of them, for their performances, probably deserved it. And right now, I probably wouldn't be judging on who deserved it more. I think I would need, obviously, for one of them to get over the finish line. But I genuinely think it's a 50-50. I think the thing that takes it over the edge for Zhao Xington is going to have to be the one that is leading. And he's been losing frames for fun sometimes. And his opponent's been on fire during certain sections of the match. And, 32 points in between them. It just shows you how close it's been, despite Zhao Xington always being the highest scorer of the 2. And he's the one actually that has got an extra frame on the board, which makes it like, Kyren has been scoring more. But, of course, on the other hand, you've got 3 centuries for Zhao and only 2 for Kyren. So it's all been a match of question marks. Now, are we about to get some answers here? And the most important answer is, who's going to win the frame 16? Because if it's Kyren, then we're going to have a 3-frame shootout of a maximum. We could still be down to just 2 frames there. If at that stage, either Zhao Xington or Wilson win it. But, we've seen a very nervous match of Shanghai Masters in between Ali Carter and Mark Selby, which has gone pretty much all the way in the last season Shanghai Masters. And it was down to 10-8. We've seen Weezer to get beaten very confidently by Judd Trump at the end by 10-6. So could this be the other match where he's going to go all the way? And this time around, of course, it's once again back down to Wilson to have the break-off shot to try and get himself lined up with a good chance to win the 16 frame, which he still very much is in deep need of. Because if he takes this one away, it's a shootout, and then his chances are going to be back to 50-50 for now. I still think it's Zhao Xington's match to lose slightly, even though he has not really managed to take the previous chance away on the long red. He's potted 2 of them, and he's only been able to score 4 points, which is a little bit of a nonsense, but, of course, that came from him potting the first red, and then potting the cue ball alongside it, and then potting the second red, taking the green away, running himself out of position. And these were the only pots that he was able to make at that stage. As he now gets, a little bit of fortune, but don't think he's going to have plenty of it here. Catching the jaw of the middle pocket. Now Wilson has got 2 dangerous reds available to him, but I think he's probably going to have to say pass on both of them. Because, you can pot them, probably no problem, but he's going to have a lot more of a problem in trying to find out the colour after them. And probably just not the time to be doing those type of shots. And trying to pot them here. Trying to avoid the contact on the brown. Well, tell you what, even though it is a similar position to the one that Wilson had, probably still not quite good enough there. I thought for a second there might be a chance of a slide there for Xington for the cue ball across those reds, and therefore the colour could be available for him. But, even he, with his attacking mindset, wasn't thinking about that one too much. As he now goes into the green. So back down to Wilson, but the most dangerous red now going to be covered up by the blue. So once again, it's just going to be a safety there for Wilson. 2 cushions, 3 cushions, 4 cushion escape on the cue ball. And a lovely line there in behind the brown. And I tell you what, a lovely little pace judgment as well. That was brilliant there from Kyron. And Chinese cannot simply have to acknowledge that as well. Zhao 10-7. Well, he's going to have to win 2 frames here on the bounce to do that. And for now, it doesn't seem in too comfortable position in frame number 16 here as it stands. So then, 2 cushions ideally. And taking the cue ball into the back of reds from the right hand side there is going to be the shot to go for, but not really whilst bouncing off the jaw of the middle pocket. And now Wilson's got a decision to make. Does he fancy himself to go for this red into the corner? He's got 4 points now, which was very much the starting point of the previous frame. Now then, does he want to go for this red? He's got the black available. And pretty much whatever he does with the cue ball, he's always going to have the black available, whether it's going to be an easier or a more difficult position. Well, he's going to go for this one. Slightly awkward to be having the green in the way, but not too close to it. So then, once again, such a key shot for Wilson. Does he get this one in? Just about does. Wobbles the red in, but at the end stage, I said he was always going to be on the black, and he is certainly going to be on the black now. Well, Wilson does certainly remain to be a real contender for the match here to be, well, not over until the end of it. Very much the end of it, I should say. Taking the black with a bit of a straight line here. Taking that cue ball on a journey towards the left side cushion and now making sure he's got the line for the red to be taken into the right corner pocket. So then 12 points of the advantage. Of course, he's going to lose the black now, which is not great. But any time that he goes to pot it now, he's going to have to go back on its own spot there because the red that was preventing from the black going into its own spot there is about to be removed out of sight until the next frame. And seemingly, I think Wilson has got the paint to be available to him, which is going to make his life even better because now he's going to remove the pink completely, put it back onto the black ball spot, and that's about as much as he needs to get him into a really good position here in relation to the colours. In relation to the reds, his position is marginal, but I'd still say it's better than the average one that we've seen quite recently. And, you know, the players have been really good whilst trying to improve their positions, especially with Zhao Xingtong. But the only reason I say that is because he's done that, you know, slightly more frequently than Wilson in the last couple of frames. But ultimately, the previous frame was the sign of Wilson coming back into form. And as we've seen in this frame and in this match, it's all about form here. And whoever gets that one frame on the boards and breaks the sequence and breaks the momentum of the other player, all of a sudden can start to be stringing those frames for fun. And I think that's exactly the mindset that Wilson is going to have ahead of himself now as he goes 26 points clear of Zhao Xingtong. A little bit of a swing of the cue there as he was walking away from the table. So then 27 points of a lead now. Taking the pink away will probably get him on the red, which is going to be a very key one. Depends on if he wants to try and take... Well, I think he's overplayed for it, probably on purpose as well. So he wants to try and, well, still potentially make some contact with a bunch of reds. And that's going to make him 2 more reds into available play there. So 34 points, 40 with a pink, and potentially up to 54 if he takes 2 more reds with a pink there. All of a sudden, the position that seemed like it was pretty closed off at the time is now going to be giving him an advantage of a very healthy lead out there. I don't know what Zhao is doing. Well, he's just being kept out quiet there. He's not really doing anything wrong. You just have to give massive credit to Wilson because he's playing super well. And Wilson is just going to have to be doing what he's been doing for the last 15 frames there, just waiting for his chance, hoping that he would come. And if not, then there's not a lot you can do about it. There's no point in trying to, you know, be frustrated or shouting about it. It's not really going to change anything. And Wilson, well, doesn't seem like he's happy with the way the cue ball bounced there. And this could be a bit of a struggle there for him because, I mean, it depends the way you look at it. Because now, of course, he's given himself a better angle to try and send the cue ball into the reds while still playing for a colour, which usually, I think, is always the better thing to do. Especially since he's going to be heading towards the top side of the table, which is literally going to have 5 colours available to him. So I think it's all down to potting the red here. And then he's going to have a great chance of making it into the collar. But let's see. Has to pot the red first. He's done that. It's underplayed for the color, but he's managed to get those reds to be nicely spread out away from each other. So all down to the color, get the position on the next red, and then it's all going to be there for the taking there for Wilson. And all of a sudden, in very quick fashion, he will come down from 8 frames to 6 to 8 frames all. Still had to take that blue nicely into the green pocket. He's done that, and now 53 points is going to be his lead. And yeah, all of a sudden, I mean, this is exactly what Curran has been doing. For the first time, he was in that run of 4 frames to 0. You know, with a brilliant chance to try and get himself another frame on the board, get a little bit closer towards that finish line, and still find himself to be very much the man in control here of everything, what's happening around it. Curran could have equalised, making it 8 frames each. Well, he's still in there with a chance, so 54 points now is his lead. 50 on the current break, another break of 50 plus, and he's now once again finding himself ahead of points there on the points total. And both of the players are going to be having themselves in the 800s, and both of the players could be having themselves in the 8 frames as well by the time this one is over. If Wilson is going to be able to just put 2 more reds out there and having an expensive colour in between, because at that stage he's going to have 67 points at the table, and if he's going to take the pink or the black away, which doesn't seem like he will, as he's now going to go for the blue, so then he's still probably going to need the colour after that one as well, because he will be 67 at the table, and 67 being the gap there if he manages to pot this red away, which he should do no problem. So then, a very quick couple of frames there from Curran Wilson, and all of a sudden, he now finds himself to be the guy with the momentum, and now he is going to be the man putting all the pressure on Zhao Xington, then playing this one around the cue ball, and look at that, once again, perfect placement onto the blue, 67 points ahead, 67 remaining, and it all comes down to the blue, and, well, I don't know if he wants to try and send the cue ball into the bunch of reds. He probably did. Didn't really work out too well for him, but I mean, as I say, he's over the finish line, so doesn't have to stress about this one too much. It's now 2 snookers needed for Zhao Xington, and let's see, you know, if it's going to be frame over right now, or is Zhao going to try and fight his way back by finding a couple of snookers. And, well, the red is going to come begging. Is he going to be fluked into the corner? He won't be. So there will be a little bit of an opportunity here, even though it's a massive long shot for Zhao Xington. Needs 2 snookers. You know, he was coming back to the table when he needed 3 of them. So let's see what's going to happen here then. Of course, the fact that he's got the black out of position onto the brown spot doesn't really help his case. So he's going to do a little bit of maths here just to realise with what he's going to have ahead of himself. I think the reason why he's doing that is that there's not really a way that he can get on the pink. So it's going to be down to the black probably to be taking on right now there. He's going to have a look at it. Or is he going to be going for the blue now and just try and get himself lined up perfectly for the reds? I mean, that's an interesting way of doing it, but I think he's 5 points unsafe, which means if he takes the reds away every single time there with the black on the remaining 4 occasions, then he's still going to be fine in just needing 2 snookers out there. But of course, this time around, he's going to have to take that cue ball on a journey towards the black, as he now finds himself 65 points behind here with 51 at the table, thinking about using the rest, thinking against it, then thinking for it again. So clearly not a big fan of the rest there, Zhao Xington. There's probably very few of the players on the World Snooker Tour are. So then playing this one with plenty of topspin on the cue ball, just try and get it on the right hand side, but don't clatter into the blue, which was what he's done. So he's going to have to try and take this one with a little bit longer of a battle than he was potentially planning for. So 58 points. He's still going to be very much the gap in between himself and his opponent. So, I mean, I have to say, I would not be surprised though if he still tries to go for this red into the corner, because, I mean, if he's going to be trying to cut this red into the left corner, I think that would be a little bit of a stupid shot. So, yeah, he's probably just going to try and get that one to be heading towards the green there with the cue ball, which is a nice line. Probably not quite going to make it, but really good effort there, because he only just about bounced away from the green there. But before that, he genuinely did seem like he had Wilson in all sorts of trouble. So then 14 points there for Zhao. And back to Wilson it goes. Still 58 points down, 51 at the table. So there is potential for it to be another one of those frame 13 encounters where Wilson seemed like, for all the world, that he had himself in a 7-6 of a lead. Of course, that way, Zhao didn't need snookers, but this time around, he won't need any snookers now. Wilson has managed to pot another great long raid, and it will be all down to 2 more frames of the action, at least for us to witness. And, well, Wilson, you have to say, has really managed to step up his game, get onto a new level, and now makes it a very interesting showdown for up to 3 frames there of an encounter. But for now, it does seem like, surely whoever wins the first round, he's going to be such a massive favourite, especially if it's going to be Wilson. I mean, the fact that he's taking the momentum from the previous 2 frames all the way into frame 17, it just feels like it's going to be very difficult to stop there. And what could have been, I mean, if you take away that missed pink into the left middle, yeah, this is easily, for me, the best performance of Wilson since I've seen in a long, long time. Probably of the entirety of the last season. I mean, he was good in the Shanghai, but I don't think he was this good, because when he comes down to that semi-final performance against Zhao himself, he was playing well, but Zhao wasn't playing anywhere near as well as he's playing today. So I think that's also going to be a massive factor. You very rarely see 2 great players to be playing well in a semi-final stage, but I think we've been treated to that luxury today. As it's now going to be the yellow to disappear there with Kyron, still going for a potential break of 50 points exactly, making a nice little total clearance into his collection. It's going to be number 9 for him. And I tell you what, number 9 is going to be the number that he's going to be looking for in the next frame as well, based on the frames won, as he now makes that cue ball to go exactly through the gap in between the black and pink, to be lined up on the blue very nicely indeed. You just know if this match is going to decide it. Don't know, because there's always, there's always a counterpoint against the match going to decider, is that you need to have everything to fall in perfectly for the decider to happen, because right now, up to this stage, it's all been going like that. But now, Wilson could easily win 2 frames on the bounce, or, same can be said about Zhao Xington, as Wilson there nearly flukes the black. In the end, it's not going to be a total clearance, but I don't think you'll care about that one too much. Who's happy? Paying spectator for sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not really neutral. I'm a little bit Team Zhao here, but I mean, I'm absolutely enjoying this one. It's a brilliant performance from Wilson, and you have to give him every single credit that you can. He has been playing about as well as it was possible for him in the last couple of frames, and now gets it down to 8 frames each, 16 frames down, 3 more to go if it is going to be a decider, and still all to play for in between 2 great players here from different parts of the world, but ultimately both of them are going to have a stick of the cue in their hands. Let's see who's going to be a little bit stronger, a little bit better, and a little bit more clinical towards the end of the match, because for now, I still feel like there are going to be so many opportunities for us to potentially see the outcome very much to be a positive one for either Kyron Wilson or Zhao Xington. I would still very much go with Zhao to win 10-8, but I don't really believe in that now. I think we haven't seen anything of him. He could have, he may as well have left the chair empty, left a robot instead of himself, and I don't think he would have done any worse with that. Wilson just taken him by absolutely by pieces. And yeah, now Wilson is going to find himself in a very interesting position where he's only 2 frames away from making it into consecutive final here of the Shanghai Masters, but of course he knows he's going to be up against a very dangerous opponent, and I just think at this stage, one mistake and it's going to be over. For now, it's going to be all coming down to the stage of, you never quite know what's going to happen here. Unfortunately, one had to lose, both playing well, loser will be sought. Yes, true, I agree, but hey, listen, that's sport. I think Zhao Xington is going to take this one a little bit better, because of, not really down to rankings, not really down to prize money or anything. I just think he's, the way that he's spoken in all of his interviews, just saying that, if you lose, you're just going to have to go on the next one. I think Kyron is a lot more like me. I think maybe it's a European thing, I'm not sure. But, we certainly see that with the likes of Watchalong, where they have got that brilliant and very sick, pretty much desire to win, and when they don't, they get upset, and that, of course, can be used as an extra motivation. But I think with Zhao Xington, it's going to be used as an advantage for him, because I think you don't put any extra pressure on yourself, which already there's going to be plenty of. But for now, he's got all the pressure, as I say, because he needs to respond to the brilliant dominance of Kyren Wilson in the previous 2 frames. Because now, blink and you miss it, it's now 8-all instead of 8-6. 2 hours 19 minutes since the session has resumed. And now Wilson, well, looking a little bit eager to try and get himself on the power once again. But this time around, he is going to be slightly wide of that red cutting into the corner. Still drags the cue ball very nicely towards the top edge of the table. So then let's see what Zhao is going to be thinking about here then. I mean, that was a little bit tight for him to be missing the reds altogether, but in the end, I think he's played that shot pretty well. It depends on if there is going to be a line for Wilson to try and miss it out past the brown there, on for the red next to the side cushion, and I think he's going for it. Certainly preparing that swing. So whether it's going to be down to the safety or the attacking shot there, we'll find out. Was it a good enough safety there from Xington? Well, it wasn't a good enough long shot there from Wilson, and now, has he got away with it? I think he has. It was always going to be down to 1 red that he could have left there over to Zhao Xington, and, well, let's see. I can't really tell from this angle, but I'll tell you what, I think he's aiming for something. Yeah, he's certainly aiming for something there. He's going right into the middle. Well, no, sorry, apologies, no. He was going right into the middle, but he was just doing that of a safety play, and you can see Kyren didn't know anyway. As he was walking back to the table, he apologised because he didn't have a clue if he's left anything after that mistake. Got lucky there, Kyren. Not really many moments, I think, today where either one of the players got lucky. I think, yeah, probably just 50-50 completely. I think a couple from Wilson, a couple from Zhao. But this time around, well, I'll tell you what, that's going to suck there for Zhao Xington, because this is going to be very painful for him. That mistake from Kyren Wilson didn't really lead to anything, and to be fair, you could say Zhao Xington's safety shot wasn't really good enough either. And now, Wilson's going to get himself on the score sheet. And once again, if you follow the path of the previous frame, this is exactly how it started. And then he never seems to stop there for Kyren. So then dragging that cue ball across towards the lower end of the table, still just needing to get past towards the black there. As soon as he does that, he's going to be very much full of, great opportunities against him. And surrounded with plenty of good reds. He's always going to have the black next to him, going into both of the pockets. As he now played far enough for the black. Seems like he has. Though he also seems like it's going to be a little bit tight there. As he now has a look towards it. I think he's going to be able to get through to the black, just about can. And once again, probably plenty of backspin, just trying to get on the second red closest towards the black there. So that he doesn't have to risk it with the one close to the black, which, could have actually not gone into the left corner. So then the red in towards the left part of the table here to be taken. The cue ball is now going to be using the black as a bit of a backup option here. 14 points right now. He's the advantage for Wilson, as he's now looking to try and make the black in towards the left corner here. I mean, he's thinking about this one again, but these top-ranked players, I would say, not fussy with the money, as they're all millionaires, unlike the lower-ranked players. No, not really, because, maybe you could say that about when they're playing the first round, but not really when you're going to be having a difference between, if you win those 2 frames, you get 50,000, or you lose those 2 frames, it's a difference of 50,000 worth of, pound sterling. So I still think it's going to matter to them. It's probably not going to matter as much as it would have been to the lower-ranked players, but I still think there's going to be extra motivation if they need it. But of course, I think the main motivation is going to be down to the, the competitive spirit. At least that's what you want to feel like as a snooker fan. But it depends who you ask, and also the actual mindset that they're going to have. But I'll tell you what, you can't really doubt Wilson's mindset here. I think he's looking very, very nicely to try and take this one away from Zhao Xington in this particular frame, because once again, I mean, he just has been unstoppable in the last couple of frames there, and all of a sudden he's gone from being 100 points less to have scored in the match to 100 points more than he scored in the match now in the recent 2.5 frames. And this break is nowhere near to be over for now. But of course, with that pink mist into the left middle, we have already seen that it can be over at any stage. But yeah, I think the most disappointing thing for Zhao Xingtong is that he hasn't really done anything wrong. I mean, the safety that he's played, not to the perfect extent at the start of this frame was probably the place where he could have improved slightly, but at the same time, it was a really good shot that Wilson managed to pull off with that long range. And also, of course, you have to bring it into the open play, that he was lucky not to leave a chance away to Zhao Xingtong, because it could have easily been, Xingtong himself. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't leave in low-tax countries like China. Yeah, I agree with that, actually. It's a good point. Wonder how much they get taxed, as I would think UK or China have fairly high tax rates. Well, once again, I think that's going to be probably after the tournament is over, but I don't really know, to be fair. I think China is going to be, of course, it's not going to be as generous as Saudi or Dubai or whatever. But yeah, coming back to the competitive spirit here, Wilson just played a very good shot of trying to get those reds to spread out, but now he needs another great shot. Ooh, that was close. And I tell you what, on a UK table, that black is going to stay at the table. That was, yeah, I think that's a thing for them to improve on. I think the pockets have been too generous, and it's always been that bottom left. I don't think that should have gone in there, but it has. And it's been like that for the whole tournament, so you can't really use that as an excuse for Xingtong. But yeah, I just don't really agree that, he just bound you on pool there at some stage. The whole thing about snooker is that you need to be a lot more precise with those type of shots, and I think that black should have been going wide. It's also 45% in China for the dot bracket. Well, there you go. So yeah, that probably does make sense. It's now going to be 52 points of the break extended to 59 there, as Wilson gets another black into the right corner. And now he is going to be getting himself through towards the finish line of this particular frame. And what a battle it has been for him. Of course, with 2 more shots there, he's going to guarantee himself a decider. But ultimately, I think he is going to be marching towards a very, very good performance there, and only being 1 frame away from the ultimate glory. And once again, 3 frames ago, it looked like Zhao Xingtong was going to be the man, unbeatable and unstoppable in this particular encounter. And, well, 3 frames later, it has been turned around perfectly well here by Wilson, and 68 points is the gap. So if the black disappears, it's not going to be any, there's not going to be any chance of Zhao Xingtong to be coming back to the table. There'll maybe a little bit, as now he messed up the positioning on the red with Kyron, but I still think he should be able to, well, first of all, get out of there. And then if he's not, then, he should still have a chance of, of a buffer, I should say, of 8 points that Zhao Xingtong will have to find through snookers. But, having to try and play the shot through Spider and basically dropping that cue onto the Spider after he's played the shot very nicely, as he's now going to extend his lead to 76 points. So then, it is down to the 18th frame there. And it's the frame that all of a sudden Zhao Xingtong has to win to stay in this encounter. Those 2 players are leaving in Hong Kong, where the tax rate is much lower in the UK. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be down to 2 things: where you live, but also where you earn that money. So I don't think, if you just live in Hong Kong and you earn money in the UK, I don't really think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that's 2 separate entities that you have to fill in the form for, and then based on that, it gets calculated, and then, of course, it's still going to be cheaper for you if you live in Hong Kong than probably if you were living in China or UK, but I don't think that's going to be as simple as, I live in Hong Kong, so I don't get taxed. Pretty sure that's not how the world works, because then the entire population of Earth would get trying to live on the Hong Kong, or what's it called, the Saudi Arabia or Dubai or whatever. Trump also has Dubai residence, and Zhao will show no emotions, win or lose. Do you play them if that's the case? Just move for the better lifestyle rather than tax, but guess they'll all say that, lol. I mean, nobody says that it can't be both. And I think, listen, I really liked, as now it is, of course, going to be a century break here, something that you shouldn't forget about. And I mean, I'll tell you what, it's now 107 if it's going to be with the black there. So it could all be down to 142 points worth of a break there from Wilson in the 17th frame, which is incredible consistency and incredible game plan, and also incredible accuracy that he's showing. But I always think about the response from Alcaraz when he was asked, what was the motivation in him to play in Saudi for the Six King Slam. And he said, well, I mean, I'd be lying if I said if it wasn't for the money. And we are professional sports players, and, money is part of our lives. So, of course, we're going to be slightly more motivated when we're going to have more money involved than we have less. And I don't really have a problem with that, because I think that's what everybody would say. It's just that I don't really like when they say, oh, it's a brilliant country, it's a brilliant culture, and I'm not there for the money. Whereas, and you get paid there, 50 times more than you would in the UK. And you say it's all about the culture. Well, it's not really all about the culture, is it? It may be down to the culture in, some of the percentage, but I still think it's going to be having a good point to it towards the money. But for now, Wilson is not going to care about that one too much. All he's going to care about is one more chance that he needs. And with his skills and his accuracy in the last 3 frames, no matter what happened in that 13th frame, no matter what happened, I'll tell you what, talking about accuracy, the little twitch there that he felt, it's not going to be the total clearance at the end of it. It will be a break of 129 points, though, which will get him a frame win once again. And a frame win number 9 over Zhao Xington. That gets him now into a lead of 9 frames to 8. Zhao Xington has got it all to play for if he wants to try and challenge for a decider and be the man challenging Chomp in the final here, because now he's the one that finds himself behind once again, and it is Karen Wilson 9, Zhao Xington 8. Who wrote Wilson off? That's the question. He's in control of this game exactly how people that write Wilson off there are just, are either children that haven't really seen that in snooker or anything can happen. But, he was 2 frames down, which was the worst case scenario. And yes, he lost 4 frames, but as I said at that point, it all, from the stats point of view, it all pointed to this happening. Because 4-2 was the lead for Zhao Xington. Wilson won 4 frames, turned 4-2 into 6-4. Then Wilson lost 4 frames, Zhao won 4 frames. 6-4 was turned into 8-6 in favour of Zhao Xington. So then after that, after he won those 4 frames in a row, what can happen? Well, I'll tell you what, 3 frames later, and Karen Wilson won 3 in a row. And I would be at all surprised if he's been able to win another one and therefore get himself through lines up with a very good result indeed. So whether that's going to happen or not, we're going to have to wait and see. But for now, it's all down to this. And it's all going to come down to if Zhao Xington has got enough fire in him, if he's got enough of that clinical edge, which will take him towards that fine line. And hopefully, of course, he's going to be able to go over that finish line here, which, of course, he's still going to be very much involving a decider. And, Wilson's gone past the last corner. And Zhao Xington is only approaching him to try and catch him before the end of that straight, where there is the finish line, which is going to be now very much the point which Karen Wilson is going to be racing towards. But I think based on snooker, I think it's only one more chance needed for Karen Wilson. I think for Zhao Xington, he's only going to have one more chance, I think, at best, because he didn't really get those chances in the previous 2 frames. He had one chance which he created for himself with, in the 15th frame, which you could still come back and look at. Well, maybe that's when he was wrong, but I think that would be harsh on him as well. And I think that would be unfair on Wilson, who's played an incredible snooker, by far the best that I've seen. And probably, I think, if you talk about the whole tournament as a package, Trump has played well. He's played really well in 2 out of those 3 matches, but I think for Wilson, for the opponents that he had, I think he's going to have to go with Wilson. I think he's been so consistent, and every single time one of his opponents was close to getting over the finish line, he just had another ace in his sleeve, and he's going to have to try to win one more frame to challenge the biggest of the aces tomorrow, with Trump still waiting in that final. And I don't think he's got a lot more time to wait, because now we're about to reach the ending. Well, either the decider or the ending completely for Zhao Xington. I just hope that he gets one more chance of getting that long red in, getting himself into a chance of going for the black. Well, that's not really the way that he wants to be doing that. And, that's something that I expected from Zhao Xington, but I think there is always going to be frustration in snooker when you're not playing well. When your opponent is playing so well that you just don't get those chances, that you're going to start to be going for something that is not really there. And it's exactly what he's done. And he may well have been his last shot in the entire match, which would be very, very impressive there from Wilson. But at the end, he'll be very disappointed for Zhao Xington as well. Loser semis get 70k, loser final 105k, winner 210k. Apart from final winner, the others losers from semis, not too much difference. I agree, but there's always going to be, I think, you know, they're going to have some contracts from the sponsors where if they win, they're going to get more than that and stuff like that. But also I think, you know, for the whole competitive spirit, for you to win the title and for you to have the chance to win the title, if that doesn't motivate you, then nothing will. I think the prize money is a bonus, which you need to keep in mind of, but I think, you know, these players should all be going for the competitive thing of the tournament, and whether they're going to be doing that or not, it's going to be up to them, but I still think they're not going to be lacking motivation. I think there's just going to be lacking chances there, as you can have a look at Zhao Xington. So for now, it'll be all down to Wilson trying to play through that black into the corner. Now positioning himself nicely for the red to be taken into the right part of the table here. So 14 points to the lead here for Karen Wilson, still looking to try and get all those easy reds out of the way, because right now we're certainly now going to be up to a stage where it's all going to be down to if you get yourself in that window of having as many points as you can, and then on top of that, just try and do your best, and then let's see what happens. And once again, that's all including that pink problem that he had into the same pocket, into the one that he's spotted the pink right now. How many tables are at this venue? I think there's going to be 2. We didn't really need more than that because we only had 2 matches to be played at the same time. They're quite far away from each other. Of course, now we're going to be down to a 1-table format with the semi-finals. But I'm pretty sure we were down to a 1-table format even in the... not really in the quarterfinals because we had 2 matches to be... Yeah, so since the semi-finals... So since yesterday, we've been down to a 1-table format, but I'm pretty sure we never needed... In fact, I am sure that we never needed more than 2. I'll tell you what, Wilson may only need 1 more shot there, although I think he's a little bit too straight on the blue. But doubt him at your own risk. The shot for the blue, he hasn't got any more reds. Is he going to have any by the end of the 10-second count? Start the clock now. 2 cushion escape. Ooh, that's not really... But, I mean, it's all right. He's got the red into the right middle, just about. I think he can see enough of that one. Although I don't think he's too eager to be playing that one. So let's have a look from a different angle. Yeah, I think he can see that red, but... Yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting to see if he's playing for the black here. So, once again, it's a test for Wilson. But he's been passing those tests for fun so far. And it's going to be another one, which he's not going to struggle at all with. 28 points of a lead. And, well, if the Chinese crowd, and you can see some of them applauding and some of them are being like, well, that's the last chance gone. But you have to just admire, even with me being on Zhao Xington's team, you just have to admire the way that Wilson has played and how well has he managed to take all those frames away, especially recently. It has been a roller coaster in relation to, you know, some frames have been won by Zhao Xington. Some of those frames have been won by Karen Wilson, but at the end of it all, it has been a great match. I think we are getting on its resolution here, although you never quite know. Not quite over the finish line, although he's now got himself within 100 meters of it now, approaching at 100 miles an hour. So all he needs to make sure is to keep the steering straight, get the black into corner now, play this shot with plenty of topspin, get that cue ball around the reds, and position himself for a couple of easy shots there, which he left himself for later, into the right and the left middle respectively. And that should get him up towards 59 points. 1 more red that he can take into the right corner or the left middle, which will get him to a potential combination of 67 points. And all of a sudden, he'll be lining up on the match ball. Some luck from the bump into the pack. Yeah, but not really. I think it was quite unfortunate not to be on something better than that. And, you know, once again, you're at your own luck. And I think that's something that Zhao Xington is never going to go back to. I think he's going to be praising Wilson for his performance, if that is to be the end, which feels a bit strange, but also feels logical. It feels a little bit strange from Xington's point of view, because you feel like, what has he done wrong in the recent 4 frames? But from Wilson's point of view, what has he done wrong? Ooh, I'll tell you what, he may have done something wrong now. Is he going to be able to see a red here? That's interesting. I don't think, well, there's going to be a red just below the pink spot, and I think that's the only one that he can see. Well, I mean, that's better than nothing. It's not the easiest shots. But if that one goes, I mean, it either goes or it doesn't, so... Or he's going to have to go for the one to the right. Well, once again, it's going to be another test. And this time around, there is a twist. Well, if you've been packing your bag there, Zhao, make sure to unload it. 51 points is not the end. Well, well, well. And it's all there for him. Well, this is the chance. This is the chance there, Zhao. He's got the red all over the pocket. Well, where did that come from? Zhao, you can see in the background, just looking at that, watching it with, well, pretty much no interest. Well, he's going to have a little bit of interest now. And how quickly can he get himself back to that fueling stations, just get back in that rhythm and just think, forget about what happened in the previous 3 frames and a half. Just think about one shot at a time. Got the black in, which wasn't an easy shot for him to play. And has he got the cue ball far enough? Oh, I'll tell you what, his face doesn't really give a lot away. But if he hasn't, he's going to have to find an alternative to it. And he doesn't really want to be doing that. So the 43 points is behind. Nope, that's not going to make it. I can see that now. And I don't need double checking it. That's not going to make the cut. So then, he's going to have to go for one of the more difficult reds, which he doesn't really have a great selection. I don't really know why he's looking at. Needed 1 second to look at that red, and I clearly know that it's not going for. And way too, well, I mean, I just feel like he's trying to convince himself that that goes. He needs to choose in between the red on the left side cushion and the one closer to the right side cushion. I think he's made his choice for the red on the left side cushion here. 4 from Zhao, now 4 from Wilson. Well, seemed like it. 43 points right now. And look at that. All 8s there for Zhao. 8 points. 8 points on the break. And 8 frames to be won. Well, we thought about going for the red into the left corner. He just seems like he's overthinking it a little bit. He's trying to go for one. Then he's trying to go for another. Now he's going to go for third. He can't afford a mistake. And he's going to get a mistake. That red is going to be nowhere near the pocket, so that was his chance. You can't say he didn't get one. And now Wilson is going to go for the kill, surely. There won't be any more mercy there. I think the mercy from Wilson was a little bit out of character as well, because that could have easily gone to a decider had Zhao been able to get himself closer to the black on the first shot. I felt like that was very much the point where he got away from him. So, well, Wilson is going to have to still go for this red that Zhao has missed there, which is far from an easy one. So let's see if he makes this one in. There's going to be a little bit of pressure now on Kyron, but, well, he handled that one well. Just needs to make sure the cue ball is not going to be perfectly onto the side cushion, and it is exactly perfectly onto the side cushion. How are we looking at the points? Advantage Wilson just 10mm short. 75 points at the table. 44 is the difference. And where do you see that red? Where do you see the colour, which will get you onto those reds, which are all available? Apart from maybe the one on the left part of the table. Yeah, he still felt like that was going to be very much the shot there for Wilson. But yeah, he's probably going to try and put one of those colours safe. Play the long-term game. Long-term game, short-term loss. And yeah, just go for the yellow. Probably to be bounced onto the right side cushion here. And back towards the ball cushion as well. Maybe even trying to form a little bit of a, you know, of a blockage there for the yellow, from the yellow on towards the cue ball, but didn't really work out. But still, compromise the yellow slightly, although not to the full effect. It's over. Well, we'll see. It's never quite over until it's over. And there is still going to be at least one more shot there for Zhao to play, and then we'll see what happens. So very, I mean, I was just about to say very thin. That wasn't really the shot that I was referring to. And especially if the cue ball is going to find its way onto the pocket. Yeah, it just seems like it's falling apart from him a little bit. So Wilson, I think, is going to evaluate whether he should actually put him back on here. As it's now a foul from Zhao. Gives 4 points away. So, yeah, he's going to be thinking about this one now. So then Wilson has got a decision to make. And, yeah, what's he going to be there for him? Is he going to take the position from here himself? That's surprising. I thought he was going to try and leave this position down to Zhao Xington out there, but in the end, he's going to be the one trying to play from here. And I don't really, he's thinking of that plan towards the pink, which I don't really see what he's trying to achieve there, but I think we're about to find out. Maybe trying to put the pink safe. And you can see the line that he was taking on the cue ball. That was the thing that he was sort of showcasing beforehand. Compromised a couple of those raids, but in the end stage, doesn't seem like it's going to be too difficult there for Zhao Xington because he's still got the line for the cross double to me. And he's also got a couple of reds on the right-hand side that he can see. And trying to save those into the left corner. The cue ball is going to be running towards the yellow and green. And once again, if he slows down, it could be very interesting indeed. Well, he did slow down, but I wonder how quickly did it actually slow down. Well, it's covered the left-hand side of the table, but ultimately, the only red, which in alternative universe, Wilson could actually pot there, is still visible to him. So let's see. He's going to have to play this one pretty thin to try and get close to potting it, but that's exactly what he's done. And only one red was the need there for Wilson, and now is he going to be on the yellow? Let's see. I think he is on the yellow. And that way he's going to have a great chance of trying to finally finish off the frame and therefore the match. Zhao lost it now, unless there's another twist. Had his chance and ran out of position. He's human after all. Maybe too much pressure from China social media. No, I don't think so. I think if you look on his face, he's just a human, and any human in the world would have been frustrated to see what's happened to him in the last 4 frames. He was absolutely sat there in his seat, doing absolutely nothing, doing nothing wrong, and he just felt like, well, I mean, I would have been fuming, I would have been smashing balls all around the table beforehand, so you have to admire him for sticking it until the end, but I mean, there was literally no point trying to continue doing what he's done for the 3 frames, because, as I say, maybe he's played 2 shots wrong in those 3 frames, maybe, and I'm not even sure he has, and he's lost 3 frames because of that, and now, once he's gone for the long raid, which he hasn't allowed himself to go for in the 3 frames, and now, all of a sudden, it's 59 points. Is the difference in between Wilson and Zhao Xington, and this red will take Wilson into an all-English derby, into the final on Sunday, and you have to say, this has been thoroughly deserved, and you have to give applause over to Karen Wilson. Even if you are on Team Zhao Xington, it is going to be down to him, and you can see what it means to Karen. There's a massive fist bump to the air, and he certainly had to work really, really hard for this one to make it all the way, and now just looking to try and finish with a very nice total clearance. By the way, thank you for everyone that is been tuning into the stream. What a match we've got on our hands. Informed Judd Trump versus firing Karen Wilson. I mean, that is going to be a cracker. Yes, we don't have a Chinese player in the Shanghai Masters final for the 10th consecutive year, but who cares about that now? We are certainly going to have a brilliant show. We haven't seen this final last season at all. We have seen it numerous occasions the season before last, and we're going to see it from the very first tournament, the defending champion of the Shanghai Masters versus the world number 1. The player that won the tournament in 2024 versus the player that won the tournament in 2025. The former world number 2 versus the current world number 1. He could not have been written as a better book, and there is one more page missing, and we're about to find out and who's going to be the author and who's going to be the one having to forced to be by the book. This has been an absolutely staggering performance from Karen Wilson, and it can only get better for him in the final, as this will mean like the world to him, and it's a break of 40 points and plenty of good words there from Zhao Xington that are going to be said. There will be a handshake in between Wilson and Zhao Xington, and now it's all down to who's going to be the Englishman winning the Shanghai Masters. This has been a brilliant final, a brilliant semi-final, I should say, the brilliant final session as well. And what a win that is from Karen Wilson. He's been enjoying his time in Shanghai, and he's got a brilliant reason to stay for at least one more day, because he's got a final to play against Judd Trump. It is Trump against Wilson. It is the world number 7 up against the world number 1. It is everything on the line for both of them, and it is going to be an absolute cracker as well. All English final get in. Well, if you are from England and you love snooker, that's all down for you. We haven't really seen too many of those finals featuring both of the players to be from England. Hawkins against Lisowski, Lisowski against Trump, Murphy against Trump, Selby against Trump last season, and now and Ali Carter, of course, against Karen Wilson. So to be fair, we probably have seen a lot of finals featuring only English players, but ultimately we're going to get ourselves underway this season from very much the same old stuff there, with two players from the same nation, from the home of snooker. Let's see which one of them will be able to find it all the way. Wilson deserves to win, absolutely does. Brilliant performance there from Karen Wilson. He deserves all the praise in the world. But now he's got one more piece of the puzzle that he hasn't managed to find, and he would have never been able to find it until tomorrow. It is going to be 2 sessions, 2 players, 1 trophy, and only 1 Shanghai Masters title for one of the players to win it. I'll see you all tomorrow. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like on this stream. We'll be back tomorrow for the final, and I can't wait for it to get started because I've got absolutely no clue who I'm going to be supporting, who I want to win, but also who's going to be the favourite for that particular encounter. Thank you, everyone. Speak to you all soon. Stay tuned in. We've got the brilliant final to get us underway for the WST season of 2026 to 2027. Stay tuned in. See you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat. Like a hell. Like a Hellcat.